I was.
Actually, we go to that, this. And I didn't do this at the other, but I have the information. if you want me to read it.
I should really see what we're generating.
Okay. I think all I gotta do is tell you it's $135,000.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's what I heard about, but I can give this to you, I mean, do it anyway.
That's why I thought I'd assume. How much was it?
$139,000.
Oh, that's like, oh.
Or when I told you it was 46. So I bought,
In your dreams?
I took it off the printer. And I was, where you get to the warrant, I looked at the first page, and I saw the number 46. I said, oh, that's in the book. And I got back and I went over. And there was another night. Yeah.
People love those classes.
Oh, you're son like, oopsie. That's all right. Yeah, but we should, no, we should. Yeah, we should.
Okay,
It's good for people to know.
in that past practice is you, we will give you the benefits, so you can see what's all in. But give you a tab, so we don't have every single. And this one, the only reason I didn't do is like, start to do five.
Well, but I think we should see all of them come in and because others, we don't min it until we say so.
Right.
So we, say if there were 3 or 5 or 10, we should see them all if they meet the criteria.
Okay.
You know, and then it's hard because it doesn't necessarily mean that we would go with low bid. Because there might be a reason that blah, 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 you know, kind of thing. So.
That'll be easy, I'll just run downstairs. I could do it, well, I can't do it by yourself. That was it.
Oh, so. Why are you just that again? Is it different than the one that is?
No, but see, it's the art of the. Work session.
Oh, no.
Proclivity does not bring you.
Yeah.
Work session.
Oh, so it's just.
There's actually down there, so section agenda.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do you bring every time?
I do, except I didn't this time because I know Alex always brings me one and I didn't do it from last time, I did from last time.
We've been calling it connecting, like, and I wondered if, who was bringing that for?
I usually bring my own. I mean, yeah.
What's wrong, Leonard?
Alex is kind of nice enough to bring it on, so I feel bad. So I was like, I'm gonna be or I bet that one is still there. So.
It used to be 1 or 2 downstairs.
Yeah, but yeah, that's probably.
Yeah, I know you're the only one that.
Because I'm not. Well, when I've been, drinking, 0. So nobody ever brings those, you know?
Very cold here, it's my favorite.
No, I didn't know they do the drink beer.
Beer's zero.
No, I mean, I don't know. You know?
I'm sure they.
Ricker, Cherry Coke. Yeah. So I usually do ginger ale. Yeah.
Good mixes.
They are. That's what you do. That's what ginger ale. But I don't, I prefer mine.
Not as smooth.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We had a good one.
Yes, and, yeah, you guys are going over to 511 and, Commander. How was he? That's very slow, Commander.
Oh, no, I mean, it was just. I don't really.
Like this. And have this vision, like, one until it goes at home, so.
So I think we left it until after the 2-ish.
Yeah, that's not bad. But when did we get that, like, sometime we're new, right? So like 12:30.
I thought it was earlier than that, but
Was
it
it?
is, it was fine because it's so many, it's a lot of conversation. It was, they were up to their.
So we're ready to start the work session.
No.
All right, everybody, it is 5:04 and we will start our work session. You have an agenda packet in front of you. I am gonna go ahead and, just announce that this is the Town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen work session for May 26, 2026. I'm going to take a roll call. Mike Huggins, Amanda Cooper.
Here.
Alex Sassoon, Dwayne Gazinski, Mary Smith,
Here.
Rich Barrows. We do not need to have a quorum, so we can proceed with our work session. The agenda is a review of the water meter replacement policy, and so Dennis, I'll let you take that.
Okay, this discussion was brought up a couple of regular meetings ago, and then I asked Gary to put together a very simple, basic ordinance amendment that would cover changing our policy with regard to who pays for water meters when they need to be replaced. And so you see this very basic in front of you, and I guess that the conversation that we're looking for this evening is, does the board want to change the policy? And then secondly, do you want to take on the responsibility of the town, take on the responsibility of the cost of that water meter? So with that, I can try to answer any questions you might have. I do have a list of other communities in Colorado that provide this stuff for free, whether it's a standing program or whether it is a deliberate water meter replacement program. I'm sure you've heard a number of communities will have 1 year where they budget a bunch of money and they say, we're gonna take all of our old meters and swap them out this year. So they do that at their expense. So I can go grab it, I left it on my desk, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer those for you.
Oh, so I know you and I had a conversation a month or so ago, because I had been contacted by someone in the board that was concerned about, they were saying they had a faulty water meter, so I was just kind of confirming what our policy was on that. And that discussion point ensued, and so to me, and as you explained, it's valuable for the town to have properly working devices, because that's gonna be reflected, on us. And I know years back, we had replaced all the meters so that they could be read more easily with just driving by and whatever the technology was at the time. So my question is, aside from the conversation and the one that had brought it to my attention, what has been our recent history this year, last year? How many would we be, do we anticipate looking at in a sense like that for things that come up?
We talked about it internally, it's about 10 a year.
Okay.
It has gotten to 20, I think, on a high year, but it's an average of about 10 meters per year that we would be replacing. Goes up and down based on the age of the meter and whose breaks.
And this year, because we didn't really get any freeze, we had almost, I don't think we've replaced any water meters this year, but last year we had about 10, so. Last winter.
And
So
the-
what- I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, and the discussion usually centers around cost. And I can tell you that the town will not lose any money from this, because if we buy 10 meters a year as inventory, it gets rolled right into the rates. And every ratepayer pays for that inventory, just like they pay for the tires that we might need to replace a truck, or the chemicals that we use to treat the water. So it's not a matter, I'm trying to clear this off the decks, it's not really a matter of cost to the town. The utility can manage that easily. It is trying to be more customer friendly to somebody who, they're pretty expensive, they're 600 and I think 695.
The actual,
That's,
The meter.
that's what I was gonna ask, so the
And-
cost per meter is $695.
Something like that.
plus labor
And then you have to pay a plumber to do that work. And so for us to be able to count on working meters throughout the community, because we don't know what's gonna happen if somebody's meter pumps out and they're told it's gonna be 650, they just ignore the problem for a while until we investigate it and find out that the meter has to be replaced. So to be proactive on that, I think it's a smart move, and it's not uncommon. Many towns will do this.
But I think it's a great idea. We did some stuff up in St. Mary's And it didn't have anything to do with the water meter or such. But if you look at how the shut off is in the ground, we're having problems with that, and we kind of looked it up, of course, those are 7 foot deep up there. But we actually found out that they make an extension on it that you could put on this. And they actually provided that, and it was gonna make their job easier.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much, he's like, take this one and put it on because of the situation that we were in. We're like, we're paid for it, we didn't even know that they made such a thing, so. But now we know, when you worked over the, they keep a lot of that stuff, then you just buy it from them. Instead of trying to go down to Denver to find what you want and stuff, and what it does is of course you want that, because then it makes it easier. Cause like for the homeowner, the chances that he's ever gonna turn off or on the main, out by the road is slim to none, he'll turn off his house. But if he doesn't pay his water bill, then the city guys need to turn it off, and if they can't get it, they don't get to turn it off, so.
Yep.
Just, I think it's a great idea to have some.
So it's like $12,000 to $15,000 a year or thereabouts, and how many users?
692.
I think it would be a little, if the meters are 700, just for round numbers,
680.
and we're doing 10 a year.
And then the
But then
plumber, you
like-
can figure at least the cost of. That's $600-700 or more probably for installation.
Yeah, and I would just double it, I mean, that's.
That's how,
Just take it from water.
I know, but it's just.
It costs them more showing up here than it does.
They're just wired in, I mean, if I look at the one in front of my house,
Yes.
it's
I
not.
cannot imagine that's a $700 install. I mean, anything's possible.
We're talking about like I mean, they're just gonna cut each side, slide in and hook it right back up, but the thing of it is to get.
Just showing up will
But
cost.
you gotta get them up here, and that's, you're paying for their license, you gotta be licensed to be a plumber. They're
Right,
gonna pay a guy to do it, they gotta put in their schedule. I don't wanna pay it, trust me, I've argued with my plumber over and over again.
I thought we did it.
But you're not right, you're not gonna.
Might have had that expertise at one time.
I have a quick question. So I know, and this was historical knowledge from before I was on the board. Wasn't there like a big water meter project a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think it was more than a couple.
I just remember Jim
That wasn't the meet, that was something else.
calling into everyone's
And
basement.
Jim was there, came in and was doing something inside.
Yeah.
He replaced the meters, you didn't even have to go into the house. They were.
He had to come into my house in a lead line check.
Oh, okay, so that's what happened. I just remember him knocking on my door being like, I gotta go in your basement. I was like, stay out of the Black Widows, have fun.
Yeah, that was part of.
Enjoy my 1870s basement.
But the water meters are inside, all the water meters are inside the house.
no,
It should be on the
They're
outside.
all-
they should be on the outside.
It's
I
like-
just don't
I was driving by and moved it.
From the
So
town.
we don't even drive by actually, there's 2 antennas.
Whatever.
Yeah, the antennas that catch up.
Yeah, the radio has a handful of them, that's the read.
So you're talking about the meter, the line, that's how you meet it, right?
Yeah, it's sitting on the outside of the house. It was just.
And that's flat, is that just the reader, it's not the one that connects the pipes?
No, it's the whole thing, big deal. I got, we just got.
Construction, we put them in a crawl space or we put them in.
Garage.
Yeah.
You want me to go grab one so you can see what it looks like?
I'm pretty sure it's the same thing outside.
Yeah.
So let me just ask something,
But we don't.
I wanna ask something really quick here. Let's say it's roughly 1,000 a meter to put it in and have it. Then we have 10 customers, $10,000, and we have 670 or 700 users, right? So you got $10,000 that has to be divided into 7 users. So that would cause the rates to go up fairly noticeably.
$15-20 a user. We already,
15 what?
15 or 20 bucks a user, right?
A user, right?
Amazing. We don't raise rates directly because we did A, so did B. It's a group. It's a.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to figure out like, okay, where's the cost or what does it look like per user? And it's gonna be $20 per user per year. Is that what the math says?
I don't know, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's what the
I
math.
think that's a very remedial way of looking at it, because we could do it without raising rates right now, so.
Right.
Voila.
But there's no cost.
All those that we put in on new construction would set that house, because otherwise they would freeze. With the water
That's my
condition.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the water meter.
Some of them
Right
have a.
there.
I'm not saying it doesn't have.
I think you might be right, because some of them have a wire that goes up and out. to the
Yeah, right, that's
exterior.
what I'm.
But all these we put in, we either put them in the basement, a crawl space, or a utility room.
Yeah.
But they have a reader that goes outside, right? So the person can just.
But
read
you're
it.
talking about replacing those.
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and those, I mean, I'm not gonna say they're costly or not, but, I mean, a plumber, they gotta be licensed. So I mean, a homeowner, I guess you could let them do it, that seems like it'd be a nightmare.
Well, but we're also assuring that it's done properly.
Right.
Yeah, it's gotta
Because
be
we're
sure.
providing the service for it, and we're obviously controlling the water and the charges that go with that. You know, our fund thankfully has been pretty flush for a long
Yeah.
time. And I know we've been trying to repay the debt on that and pay that down and out, but maybe there's a balance by starting this new approach to it. I mean, I think it's better for the town anyway, and then it's,
Well, it's a measure of control that I think is important and modernization, which I think is good. I had a quick question on the language, just, when I looked at the existing code, it said that, that it's a meter and necessary adapters. Do we need to have that language put in there, that the meter and necessary adapters would be
I think so.
replaced?
Yeah.
So you might wanna add that. And then it also says that we're gonna get written waiver and consent of the property owner, and I didn't understand like for what.
Because we're going on the
Access.
property.
Because they're going on the property, okay, very good. Yeah, thank you.
So what if you put it into a situation where somebody's refused to let us on the property?
Yeah.
We shut the water off. I mean,
Oh, whoops.
They gotta pay for it, right? And there's no way to get them a bill unless we have a meter that's operating.
Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
And the other thing that is an advantage here is timeliness too, because they call a plumber on their own and the plumber could say, I'm not coming to Georgetown for your meter for another 2 weeks. But if the town calls because we have a plumber that's on our roster and we say, hey, Amanda, we need you up at Georgetown on Thursday.
You do
you're
not
going."
want me putting your water in the.
That's true. Well,
Very
a
bad.
lot of wasted water.
Now, this is a work session item. Obviously, this would have to go on to our regular meeting at some point, correct, for
Yep.
approval? Okay, very
I
good.
think this is pretty straightforward,
June 9th.
honestly, I don't think
Are
I'm
you
gonna
gonna
have
add
this.
this?
June 9th.
June 9th,
Yeah.
sorry.
Feels like pretty.
Assuming $1,000 per meter and 10 per year, it would be $1.20 per month.
Okay,
Okay. It's reasonable.
and we would be getting a discount.
but is,
How about-
well, and Dennis pointed out too, that doesn't mean there would necessarily be a raise in cost,
Right.
right? Because there's already money in there.
Right, we're not talking about increasing any kind of water fees at this time. Right now, we're just and we're not adopting code yet, but we're preparing to do that to get the program in place.
Correct.
And then.
What about
we'll kind of
training for one of our guys so they can be installers for the town?
Well, we could do that, but whenever we get into these technical skills, we like to invoke the warranty sometime. So we'd like to get somebody that's outside the organization, come in and do it, and if they screw it up, we have an easier remedy. Than if we had
Well, I say also too, the
training, licensing, all that.
yeah, I mean, when Ryan was still alive, me and him discussed a lot, just even inspections. Ryan got away from it because he's like, you know, the other day my guys went certified. We hired them and certified. This
Right.
is the same thing, unless they're a licensed plumber. Pretty much, you go through the program, in 5 years, every worker ends up becoming a licensed plumber, in a sense,
So
so.
we had that conversation
Really
internally
not
with
licensed.
Devin. So Devin came from the plumbing world and he had his license and he came in, we had a chat with him.
It's not like Walmart, plumbing or.
Yeah, plumbing. And so we had a conversation with him and he said, okay, would you be willing to get your license renewed? And he said, no way, it'll take too long and it's too much of a headache, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you almost have to be
So
practicing.
see, we planned a whole hour for this conversation and we haven't even come close to that, which I think is great, but so when we've had to replace them or when they've been asked to be replaced in the past, is there like common denominator as to what's going wrong with them besides a freeze situation? Or,
I don't usually find out what the problem is. The plumber will come in and say, this is broken, can I have a new one? And I say, yep, here you go. The freeze plates break and we usually just replace the freeze plate in that situation, not the entire meter, so that's a frequent problem. But when the whole meter is broken, I don't know what is breaking about them.
So maybe we don't even have to replace the whole meter in some of the cases.
Right.
It sounds like
It's
it's
just, it's just making it functionable for our purposes for.
Yeah.
Quick
water
question,
monitoring.
are we, is the town gonna provide the water meters, or are you expecting the homeowner to pay for the water meters?
That's-
So if we.
Right now, they pay for them, so we, Kasia will say, here's the new meter to the plumber, and then they get a bill for $650 for their next billing cycle. Because the plumber installs it and bills them directly.
Right,
What we're looking at doing is switching it so that the plumber's working for us, and we give the plumber that's working for us the meter that we have in inventory.
but you still want the homeowners to pay for that, correct?
No,
no,
Okay, gotcha, because I started to say it was kind of tough, because I'm like, wow, with the request process on water and sewer cat fees, water meter kind of comes with that. But I kind of get both sides, but yeah, as a town, if we cover that, that's huge.
and the other thing I was adding on to that, to alleviate, you might have concerns about the town taking on a new cost. But really, it's being spread over 670 customers, that cost for that meter.
Yeah.
well, that's the $1.20 per month per
Right.
customer that somebody just came up with, yeah.
That is if we choose to raise rates, but we're not even looking, we're not entertaining that.
Well, we have to again, but
Maybe.
it'd be nice if we could hold off for a bit.
Well, remember, no rate change this year,
Well, that would be the question.
We're.
2 years in a row.
2 years.
Yeah, so it's just awesome.
That's good. Yeah. All right, well, this was, any other questions or comments on this work session agenda item?
Do you wanna talk about something else while we have the time? I think we can just add that in the work session. Can you-
Yeah, it's like, what?
Were you guys here for our work session or are you here for a regular meeting?
I don't know.
I gave with my neighbor, so.
I had a couple of my inquiries about the project that I wanted to plan in my home, but I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Mark Cabral. I have a home at 1022 Biddle. And, I really wanted to meet Dwayne, more than anything, because he's my representative in my district, so.
Heck, yeah, very nice to meet you.
And I just really had some questions about, as a away from home, owner. I'm not always able to make these meetings like the second or first or second weekend, Tuesday of the month. In order to, present my project to whatever committee has to hear about it, and, I thought, I'd like to, hear what some of your recommendations might be on how to go about doing that. Now, I know they have Zoom meetings, but, I don't know, I'm not as Zoom sophisticated as a lot of people are, or I think even have that capability, but, I just wonder if I presented a project to say you or something, that, and then maybe to attend the proper meeting, would you be able to do it in my absence?
Well, I can help you understand what the process is.
Yeah.
And then how to move forward with that, how to go through DRC and such, what it kind of looks like in that, and so the work, and then outside of being a selectman, sure, I can recommend other people that build, of course, I build too myself. So, but I can give you, I love sharing it, I have for years now, I love helping people understand what it takes to build here and the whole process.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's not that hard, but it's hard if you don't understand or if you don't live here.
Yeah.
We're good vouch for that.
I
We've
mean,
had a lot of discussions, so.
there's process to everything, I understand, and
Right,
it tends to, if you miss something, it tends to just keep stretching it on, you just can't accomplish what you'd like to get done, and I'd like to kind of move my idea forward a little bit this year, like, and I'd really like to kind of move it along
Well, sir,
this year.
I'd say your central point of contact is gonna be Kasia.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I
all,
already talked to Paige one time. I went in the hall and, mentioned my idea and then we had some conversations about setbacks and things like that, in order to, kind of do some projects, but I've got a historic property and I've got some historic foundations in the back that I'd like to restore. I'd like to recover that and, it would require some minor building, nothing major, but, I would like to reestablish that, for its historic significance. And, it's just a matter of, going through the proper channels to get it accomplished and I figured I'd come today and, try to, put my idea out there and see what I can come up with ideal wise.
If you work with Kasia, she will hold your hand all the way and she will help you get what you have to do. And then when it comes to attending a meeting, they're flexible. The DRC can have you zoom in. We can help you connect. That's no problem. I would caution you though, in terms of working with selectmen,
Right.
you co-opt the selectmen. If you work with them, they can't vote on what you're presenting then later. Then I think that Dwayne would want to preserve that right to vote.
Yes.
So he
I
can
will
help you.
It depends on, yeah, what you're trying, but if it has to do with us as selectmen for town meetings, of course.
So to add, just so for his situation, he has a pretty clear, he can't do this because of land use code situation, so. That's sort of a,
Let's go to the planning commission.
he's hit a wall with me.
Okay.
I told him no, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well then, so that is, are you trying to get beyond that? Is that what you're trying to get
Yeah,
ideas?
I mean, there's, I've had some conversations with people in town about, doing some historic preservation, and that's really what I think this is probably entails. And I mean, even if it's gonna be on a boundary, it's not gonna, there's not gonna be the proper setback allowed.
he wants to build he wants to rebuild a shed that crosses the property line. And there's two different owners on each side, so
So that would be planning commission, correct? But then that also could come to us or not?
I,
Could eventually.
No, it doesn't go to the
No,
planning commission. It
doesn't.
doesn't. need to-
Right. If it doesn't meet the
You can't, like, try to
requirements,
file for like easements or anything?
no,
No,
not on
only
other
if
people's
He
property.
has to get the easement from the private property owner.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, thinking about that.
And even then, he's still not meeting the
property of
setback.
an easement, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah,
So I think like, the only thing that would help him would be if we change the code to allow for it, which I don't know that there's.
Right, a reason to
Not
do that.
that, that's one of those property rights issues. based on
Exactly.
rights issues.
Right, yeah, I'm not even sure that we could.
Have you talked with your neighbor about buying property?
Yeah, the Crowfoots are, very agreeable to, for me to be able to, reestablish what was there at one time. I mean, the foundation wall, it's about an 8 by 8 foot rock room that's just open. It's 3-sided, there's no roof or walls, but it's rock, but I had no idea what it was. I had someone that was more knowledgeable in some of these buildings he said that was a dry room. That's what the miners use to get out of their dirty wet clothes, to get some drier, cleaner clothes and go home.
Yeah, that is cool.
And, it was, it's definitely an irregular wall. It's not a straight line, but, it kind of does connect to my property, and their property is beyond the wall and my property is this side of the wall, so inside what I guess belongs to us, but,
I did explain to him like lot line elimination and if his neighbors were to purchase his land or he was to purchase theirs, they could do a lot line elimination and that was really the only way forward. But
that would be your next step and probably relevant step. But there's so much liability when it comes into trying to work something out like that without actually owning land yourself.
yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah,
Careful,
thank,
Selectman Kaczynski, because if there's ever an appeal, there's situation here.
right. I
We're
think
trying to
that,
help you.
It's really like outside of
Yes.
this.
well, we want to help and we,
Outside of this.
yeah, we want to be helpful, but we're really treading on thin ice, I think, right now. So we really appreciate you coming because we know that you have a concern about this. And we know that with Kasia, you're gonna get the best information and then you can do whatever you need to do next with planning commission or what have you on that. So we really appreciate you being here. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for all the advice. I
Of course,
appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely happy to do it.
It's nice to know what, different residents are encountering as
Mhm.
you try to go through those processes. The codes have been written for years and years and sometimes, maybe they do need changes and everything like that, but it doesn't always come to
Well, we
us,
don't wanna,
so,
right,
it's
open a
good
can of
insight.
worms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
If there's something you can reach out to me also, at any time. I've had some business cards somewhere, so.
So,
and
but be
that's-
careful with
Yeah.
that too. Just
Yeah.
be very
Well, I'm
careful.
just saying as a selectman in my ward,
Yeah.
Right, people could email us and such.
And I think
Actually,
Keisha can be the
If we
best.
to give advice, he would just need to recuse himself in the event that an application did
Come forward.
So,
Which is what I do as a builder.
Okay.
So, and I've had for the last
Okay, well,
8
thank you.
years of being on planning commission.
Right.
Thank you, really appreciate it. Any other questions on this, work session or?
Make us talk
Well,
about it.
we have an internal calendar for work sessions cut with things,
Right.
topics that we wanna talk about. And I can think of one that I can spring on you tonight with the idea that we're gonna have a work session to talk about it.
Mhm.
And that is, this has been a topic since I started here, and that is our hours for town hall.
Mhm.
So everybody else in the county is closed on Friday, including the school district. And we're open, and believe me, we need the time to work. So we're not, the town staff hasn't come up with any ideas on that front that would say we're closed and we're changing the work hours. What we're looking for is you to consider changing the Friday hours to appointment only and allowing the staff to catch up on internal paperwork on Fridays, which doesn't mean we don't meet with constituents or customers. It just means that if they need to meet with me, they call me ahead of time and say, I'm gonna come in Friday at 9, yeah, come on in. So I don't know if you wanna have a conversation about that, but that's probably the next issue that's gonna come before you for a work session discussion.
Does anybody have any comments on that at this time? I would suggest that we save it for a work session set aside for this, but anybody wanna throw anything out there?
I think off the cuff, it's worth exploring, but I would prefer that we have some kind of more specific detailed proposal.
Okay,
Right.
this is helping me because it's been, my understanding has been talked about for a while. And it hasn't been talked about since I've been here for the last year or so, so. If you have any kind of historical context that you can throw at me, yeah, we talked about this 3 years ago and nobody wanted it, that's helpful.
All right, thank you.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because we're killing
Because
time.
we're
I know,
kind of like Memorial Day, we were
This is
so
like-
on top of things.
that we just like raised through, and thank goodness for Rob Solomon because he could sing.
We could have had.
I know.
singing another song.
It was great. Well, then if there's nothing else, it's 5:30, and so we can declare this work session closed, and then we will meet again at 6 o'clock for a formal Board of Selectmen regular meeting. Thank you.
You're supposed to run.
I know, I need to start using my gavel.
Oh. I have the looking at that one. Goodbye. Yeah, no, what's up?
Monday, so question, we just throw out. And say the rest of it, I was.
This cannot be a zero business.
Sunday, I don't know, it was busy, but not like what, super hard, I thought it was all one. Good energy. I was very.
Sorry about that.
Do we have people online for this? Just Anna, okay, very good. Countdown. Almost there.
She's punctual.
She is.
Thank you.
Very good. Please join.
That's right.
Ready.
All right. We're almost there. I'm waiting for my clock to say 6 o'clock. Very good. Thank you. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to the Town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen regular meeting for today, May 26th, 2026 p.m. We'll now, excuse me, do the roll call. Mike Huggins.
Here.
Amanda Cooper.
Here.
Alex Sassoon.
Yeah.
Dwayne Gazinski.
Here.
Mary Smith. Here. Rich Barrows.
Here.
Thank you very much. You have an agenda in front of you for this week's, for today's meeting, and we have an agenda item number 9 that's been presented to be added to the agenda regarding the participation by the Clear Creek Regional Housing Authority into CIRSA for government sharing. Are there any other comments, additions, or deletions to the agenda as presented? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Amanda, second?
Second.
Sorry?
Second.
Wait, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, the agenda is amended with that addition of item number 9. Public comment, we have Mojo in the audience this evening. Members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on topics not on the agenda. Written letters will be acknowledged but not read aloud. Comments on agenda items can be submitted prior to the meeting via email to townClerk@townofgeorgetown.us. Mojo, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Mojo Lucas. Moved here 50 years ago. I was 14 years old back in 1976. Joined the military and delayed entry, and I came back here to Georgetown 2.5 years ago. I'd like to bring up some concerning points. We've got some ordinances and regulations that aren't being enforced concerning ordinances, community ordinances. Trailers now that have been parked in driveways for the convenience of not paying any storage fees. Example, right next to this building, we have not one but 2 of them now. And it takes away the photo from the angle of the hotel bakery and the town hall because you got 2 trailers there. You got a trailer in the public parking here behind this building. And unfortunately, I'd like to bring that to your attention because it's very lax and people are utilizing because we don't have a police force, we don't have anything going on. And this is affecting the visual effect of this historic town.
And I think it needs to be brought up to the point, these ordinances and that were put up for a reason. You drive up to the access of the loop railroad, you've got a collection of cars that are unregistered. A lot of them are for sale now. It's just a visual ambiance of honoring the heritage of this town, mainly this section. The other thing I'd like to bring to attention is the over tourism of the lake area. We've got people down there drinking alcohol, leaving their trash. I don't know if we have a small group permit that needs to be filed for, but when there's 20 people having a corporate party and they put up their cots and that, and they're there during day use, but they're not removing, they're leaving a trace, let's put it this way. Now, I know when we had a police force and we enforced the Lake District between not drinking alcohol, smoking dope, and picking up trash, our standards are lowered again. And this has been going on more than 3 years. And the effects now are seen by graffiti on rocks, graffiti on trees. People, for some reason, come up here and they have to leave their trace or their memento. So I'd like to see more on the ordinance side, the enforcement. I know it's contracted now. But I'd like to see a little bit more push because behind Cooper's on the creek, all the way down to Cabin Creek. We walked down there yesterday and it was raining all day. It smelled like dog shit. And that's going directly into Clear Creek when it's a biohazard. And we have locals that refuse to stoop and scoop. We have no signage and no enforcement. So I'd like to see that picked up a little bit and maintained just for the quality of life for our visitors and the people that live here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Roger. We really appreciate that. And we certainly hear all of your concerns. We are doing a lot with code enforcement and we will continue to do so. And everything you've said has been noted.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's more boots on the ground and presence than just a drive by.
Appreciate that. Understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Next up is Sergeant Straley with the Clear Creek Sheriff's Office, and you have your report in your packet. Thank you.
Good evening. This is a summary of the April calls for service, kind of put it in a little perspective. April, the sheriff's office responded to 130 calls for service and marked as 144 calls, so we had a 9.8% decrease in call volume for April. Kind of hot. March definitely we saw a huge uptick. We had 10 reports for the month of April, March was 16, and 37.5% decrease. We did have 5 arrests, which is the most arrests we've had in 1 month since we took over. The most serious was elder abuse case. There was 2 domestics. So although we had fewer reports, it seems like the severity went up a little bit. We've been out there in it, looking into May and having the assigned deputies. It's definitely, I think we're heading the right direction and making the movement. Our staffing's gotten to the point. There will be a couple days where we will have them out for training, start of June. So you won't have full coverage as prescribed by the according to the ITA. We're gonna get some training knocked out and moving ahead, but so far the guys working it have been enjoying it. Any questions?
Any questions for Sergeant Straley? Amanda, would you like to?
I think the only thing I was gonna ask is, in light of the public comment that was just shared, is that something that maybe
So
we examined the lake?
absolutely, I've encouraged my deputies to get out, walk around the lake. The littering, definitely something we could enforce. Alcohol violations, if we follow the town ordinance, certainly within our realm of responsibility, we could certainly get to them. As summer continues, we'll see more of it. And I did see wildlife right out there addressing fishing issues over the weekend, so.
Yeah. I saw that.
So certainly, as far as the littering, the alcohol violations, that's something well within our realm of responsibility. As far as the land use, the storage of vehicles and trash on private property. Again, would be glad to work with your code enforcement, but that's really their availability.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you very much. Any other questions?
Can I just compliment your
the deputies, I know we were talking April, but in May, this month, it seemed like now they were a little bit more proactive with some traffic, especially over Memorial Day weekend. I didn't really notice any illegally parked cars near the lake where it seems to be a free zone. So, you know, you've obviously brought that information back and I appreciate that. We appreciate that they're a little bit more.
Yeah, I did work this, Sunday and Monday over the holiday weekend, through the lake. Most of the people that were parked on the roadway were well off the pavement and those are the ones who tend to leave alone.
Yeah.
Once they hit the pavement, that's where we start getting concerned. I do, wanna put it out there, Michael Pride for the town. Near Road and Bridge Department has been good eyes and ears, who's reported a couple incidents that we've been able to respond to get a early morning DUI arrest, so. His eyes and ears out there is certainly helping us and other things, so.
Well, that's good to know too. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Dennis, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in, along with what Mitch was doing, the two parks employees that we have that work Saturday and Sunday have been calling the sheriff's office to report various things that you are covering. I made a call because they called me and they wanted me to call, I don't know why. But I made that call. The big one that came up was somebody was out with a grill cooking next in the long grass over by the big cabin at the one corner, your corner. And your department responded quickly and fast to get that taken care of so that we didn't have a wildfire incident. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Gas grills are still okay within the stage one fire ban, charcoal, wood, those things were a yes.
Right.
As they should. Yeah, especially when the operators are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
consuming.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're very happy with all the service so far.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your evening. Next up are financial items. We have payables to review. I still haven't seen the checks for May 1 through May 7. We're looking at May 8 through May 21. I still haven't signed those, but your payables are in front of you. Are there any questions from anyone on this payables report?
I would just throw in that I did sign the checks last week, so they are waiting in the red folders.
Great, that's perfect. Good to know. Thank you.
Just have a question about the signage under on page 10. Yeah, and I guess it's not debating the cost. However, I'm not in the signage business. I realize it's nice to be able to use local. But I would hope that we are being conscientious of funds. And, you know, if this is on par, great, but if it's, could be significantly less. I think the signage that we're starting to push out for events and activities is great. And I wanna keep that up, but I don't wanna run out of money doing it before.
Exactly.
So-
We don't wanna run out of money either.
Right.
And we are regularly, Anna's been very good at shopping those. We have also been using two different vendors in Evergreen, I think they're both.
Okay.
And so why that is easier for us is because, as Anna's coming up the hill early in the morning, she can stop and pick up stuff.
No, Anna is online. Did you want her to make any comments or?
She's gonna need to. This is
Okay, there you go.
second.
All right. Any other questions or comments on that, on payables? All right, thank you very much. And we have a sales tax report that was just handed out by Q. Q, this is so, I'm gonna have to definitely go home and think and read this because there's a lot here.
That's 3 reports.
It's, yeah,
Sales tax. So STR compliance report. And updated first quarter STR with last year's numbers compared.
okay, and I know at our last meeting, we were going to have a year-to-date budget report that wasn't handed out then. That is not included in this, correct?
It was handed out.
At the last meeting?
I
Okay,
think, did you email Georgia?
I did not see that.
I'll make sure you get another copy.
Okay, thank you. That's great. So, does anyone, I certainly don't have any questions yet. On these, I will want to, take a hard look at them. But thank you for the information.
You're gonna go over more of your reports though later on, during staff reports, right? The ones that you passed out, okay.
And Mary did ask if it would be possible to get all of these in the packet ahead of time, and yes, we can do that going forward.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks. So a chance to review.
Good
All right.
stuff.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Thank you.
Good information. Thank you, Hugh. We have minutes to approve from May 12th, 2026. I know there's been a number of edits provided to Bridget. I think the only other ones, Bridget, that I didn't see was, let's see. Sorry, give me a second here. I think that was it. I think everything was taken care of. Thank you very much. Any other comments on these minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Rich. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alex. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The minutes are accepted. Our first agenda item is the Community Center Board Letter of Offer. We have Jamie LaCrosse here. Jamie, would you like to speak to that?
So I'm here on behalf of the community center board to answer any questions that you may have. Basically, we sent a letter of offer to the town administrator, Dennis, just offering the sale of the community center because we can no longer keep up with the operation costs ourselves. So, there's some financials in there, I believe, and we can get you more projections as needed. The sale would include the transfer of stocks that are specifically noted for, not rebuilding, but refurbishing the building, or remodeling, yes, be a better term, so. But any questions you have for me regarding the sale, that's why I'm here.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Any questions?
I was trying to see on your, and I might have missed it, how much is that stock that you mentioned?
Right now, it's in an investment fund, so right now it's about 350,000.
Is it like in a C safe or a polo trust or?
I don't really
No
know
worries.
that, Will, our accountant is doing that, I'm not a person to answer
No,
this.
that's great, you're in good hands, it's about 350K.
Yes, ma'am.
From what I read, it's principally one stock,
Two,
Procter and Gamble.
yes, sir, one
Yes.
stock that will, from one company, two different stocks, but they were donated by the Hall family, or specifically earmarked for the purpose of remodeling the building. So,
How long ago?
I don't have the answer to that.
Right.
Quite some time ago,
Quite
because when that's,
HTI.
yeah, several nonprofits received stocks from the halls for different purposes, yeah. So it's been over 10 years, I think.
We plan to send them a letter also of our intent to transfer it to town if the sale should go through. Just so they know what we're doing and why.
So is that stock easily transferable since it went to a nonprofit? I'm assuming it can go to the town, then that wouldn't be a problem.
Yes, ma'am, that's a non-issue. The only issue we'll have is at the end of the year when we dissolve the board. And it's not even an issue, is that the funding that we have left from fundraisers, not operations, would have to go to a not-for-profit or a charity, like it'd have to be donated to somewhere, so that money wouldn't come with, but we're not talking about a significant amount of funds anyway.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, currently you're projecting a net income, well, that was, I'm sorry, this was last year, $92.58. So probably about the same for this year.
So in the summary, the budget impact, it's the property taxes is actually what's reflected in the P and L that was shared with us. We're talking something rather insignificant there. I want to make this presumption that I understand where the community center is in this plan to transfer. However, I think the impact with the loss of the organization next year is going to be huge on this town for events and activities and supporting fundraisers that you guys have, run all these years. I wonder if we're being, I want us to make sure that we're looking at all of the financial aspects that we are going to be taking on with assuming ownership of that building. And to say that our staff is going to be responsible for maintenance and cleaning, I would think that our staff is probably pretty close to being, maxed out with the assignments that they have now. And so are we talking about consideration of increasing that staff next year? You, the community center organization, they operate the welcome center, I don't wanna say visitor center because I don't want it to be mistaken with what happens down at the roundabout. What's our intention? You're still running things this year. But 6 months from now, when the town has taken this over, what does that all look like for us? What's the plan that's not right here in front of us for the $2 and whatever transfer of ownership piece that?
The plan is, as you see it today, it's gonna continue on and the ownership will change. The volunteers will remain and until the end of the year. Jamie could probably talk better about the philanthropic aspect, the first thing that you brought up, because they have a plan for shifting that. The board wants to dissolve at the end of the year, regardless of the town. So the board members that met with us, with staff, we want out of this thing. We've been working on this for a long time. Financially, we can't continue this, so we're gonna have to do something different. But Jamie has a solution that she's working on to fill that gap, separate from the town. So the golf outing and those kind of things. The town itself can absorb business as usual at the community center with existing staff. It's not going to impact us. We do not anticipate hiring a person with business as usual. But it also gives us the opportunity, with Jamie's urging as well, on fee structures and rental items that are currently not offered for rental, but we could offer for rental, like the chairs and the tables over there are not currently offered to people that want to use the building, but we could make those available for people. I've also had conversations with Paul Boat about possibly managing the community center for us and upping the level of rental and programming we have for that building. And that's the conversation that we want to have. We would never make any kind of recommendation of the board to change the programming there without also considering the financial impacts of that. But right now, the short story is business as usual. The town can absorb that, and I laid that out for you. In fact, my estimate is that we will save money from the contribution that we currently give to the community center by taking over the revenue stream as well as eliminating some of the duplicative costs that we currently pay for in our organization, like postage, for example.
To increase programming there, the loss of the nonprofit status would be very harmful because I've seen a lot of community centers operate doing stuff for seniors during the school year till like after lunch, and then doing an after school program till 6 o'clock. That community center has a lot of opportunities to do that, but if you cannot pursue grants with using a nonprofit status, that takes a lot of those opportunities away. So I think that's something that needs to be considered. To me, the community center has a lot more opportunity, say, than investing $1 million into a skate park. Because you could do stuff for seniors, you can do stuff for after school care, you can run a summer program for kids. That some of that could increase the revenue stream, but more than anything, it'll increase traffic on the road we want to see the busiest in this town.
I would also argue that there's potential if the town was to take this on, that we could probably increase as Dennis pointed out, revenue, but if we were able to stabilize that revenue, we could probably put in a staffer, a full-time staffer during summer in a paid position.
I think you need to
And
do
then,
that.
and then that would also, because right now, it's all, everything that runs on volunteerism gets, unfortunately dies, because volunteers have to make money to pay for their houses, and we get tired, like, of
Yeah.
all the things that we're doing, and so, like, eventually you have to go to the job that pays you, and so I would argue that we could actually stabilize it with some staffing to increase revenue and make it more economically viable.
Can you elaborate more on the plan that you are percolating over here?
Yes, ma'am. So we're starting a different non-for-profit, and the reason that it will be separate from the community center is because if the sale goes through, well, regardless of whether the sale goes through or not, we can't have the same not-for-profit, like be representative of the community center and be part of the town, because that's a conflict, you know, it's messy. So we're starting a new not-for-profit that would be, philanthropic, still continue all the events that we have currently. All of the funds would go to the same causes that they go to currently, so nothing would change in that regard. It would just be, a way that I could still do the same events and, have an umbrella and not depend on the town's insurance policy, have our own safeguards in place, so that would, that'd be beneficial also for you guys. Danae also is a staff member that works for us now during the summer, so she's an option if you need staff. And she'd love to do it. So I think that, there is income potential there that we're not utilizing just because we don't have any that we have.
But the plan now, if this goes through, is that Danae would still be there for the summer? I
Yes,
mean,
ma'am.
you feel financially solid enough at this point to maintain the services, not only the events, and the events are huge, because if the town would turn around and absorb that when we're struggling with events now, and to find that balance, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
half those events are what makes Georgetown, Georgetown.
Exactly, and that's why we hope to continue them, and so that's the goal. Danae is there for the summer, as long as you'd like her, and, we'll be able to keep her and pay her for the summer through the events with the golf tournament and everything. So we're there till the end of the year. After that, it's just basically Lil and I. Mark Reynolds is here, but he's part-time in Nebraska, so we just don't have enough bandwidth.
Who would you be? If I may ask, you know, you're not gonna be the community center organization, you're gonna be the
Ripples of Impact Foundation.
what?
Ripples of Impact Foundation.
Ripples of Impact? Okay.
Special. So you would be the Ripples of Impact Foundation housed in the community center
No, ma'am, we will not be a part of the community center,
at all, so you're totally separate. So how does that benefit the community center in the town?
because we still keep the same events. This was a separate program I didn't wanna talk about to conflict with the sale of the community center.
Okay,
But, cause I'm not trying to conflate the issue, but.
Right.
But it would still be the same events, like the chili cook-off and the golf tournament, and we would have more events for fundraising, educational programs. We wanna work with other not-for-profits in town to help.
okay,
The concern was the fundraising and special events that the community center board was behind, like the golf tournament, and those are all gonna continue.
under a different
Other
organization.
different organization and Jamie's management, a new board of new citizens of Georgetown are stepping forward. And even possibly expanding that portfolio of events, because we've talked about a whole bunch of other fundraising opportunities. So, for example, if we wanted to do something with the Georgetown Community School, Jamie's group could step in and
Sure.
do something that would benefit them. The other issue I'd like to address is the grant seeking. Local government is a much more powerful organization in terms of reaching out for grants for special recreational programs. And so we would have no concern about being able to apply for and receive funds for those programs. In fact, I'm very excited about the opportunity of having a venue to program beyond what's already stable there, and that's the key, it's already stable. And we have a good revenue stream there that's supporting the cost of operating the building. It's not gonna be a financial burden to the town. And now it gives us an opportunity to get together as a group and say, how do we make that community center move to the next level, and what can we do for it? The cherry on the top is having the $350,000 in a bank account over here to manage any kind of major maintenance and renovation issues that come up over the next few years.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may speak to your point, we've tried, after school care and all of those avenues to make that work, and we just, without having a completely separate staff for that, there's no way to management.
Yeah, you have to staff it, but there's a big push for funding across the state and especially in this county for after school and daycare.
My concern would be though, unfortunately, knowing what I know about the regs that
Right.
are even in existence at the community school. I'm not sure that the community center would check on boxes. There's too many, they regulations have become more and more, maybe they're.
Well, especially for kids 5 or 6 and under, but the law in Colorado for neighborhood youth organizations
Yeah,
was written by folks I worked with, and we used to get inspected, and they were
Yeah.
much more lenient.
They're-
You wouldn't be able to do the daycare.
yeah, you can't do little.
But you could do the after school care or summer
Yes,
care.
that 100% could be managed and, I wish we could get more younger kid care, but that's a separate conversation.
So Jamie, real quick, I'm not quite understanding the connection, Dennis, between the new organization that's a not-for-profit that's gonna run all of these same things. And
There is no connection.
there's no connection. All right, so that money doesn't help the community center.
Correct.
Okay,
It never did.
it never did.
So
It never did.
it's not,
Gotcha.
it goes to
Separate
targeted,
things.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So ROI would be running out of a PO box, let's say, in Georgetown, because we know we don't use physical addresses here. Are you more specifically planning on being Georgetown based, or do you see the opportunity because of that to have a broader?
Broader spectrum, so
Well-
Fairfield County was kind of like, our goal was to be, broader, start in Georgetown, stand out, and the only reason we didn't wanna narrow scope it is because of our neighbor that had the fire in Silver Plume, like, when stuff like that's happened, we wanna be able to help.
Right.
But so you're not intending for the new organization to utilize any of the community center building?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
It's totally separate, that's what I was.
You know, and I know we're trying to keep this separate, but they dovetail, it's in it, you know, and so it's easier for us to justify where we're going with the community center and how we could be putting that to use and a fee structure as a venue.
Right,
type
it'd be totally
situation,
separate.
knowing what, any kind of agreements may.
Yeah, Paige and I are counting and working with Jamie very closely on what efforts they're pursuing. The town is gonna be a supporting actor in this,
And we will.
regardless of the community center.
Right.
So what do we see as that venue bringing in for the offset
Yeah, what kind of services?
the operational costs?
Jamie sent me all the calendar of events that they have programmed already for the next many months. If you could throw out a couple, there's yoga and
So there's yoga, there's belly dancing, we have acupuncture, there's, birthday party rentals, Sunday, church meeting rentals. Paul Boat is using it for plein air. There's plenty of opportunity to make rental money there. It's just, like I said, as we have more staff or more volunteers, we can make it more better, make more money, we just don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're confident that our staff can keep up with the maintenance and all the things like that.
And you
I
should-
feel like our staff is so busy, but.
You could also do things like the fee structure that we have currently set up is not really practical for what you could honestly make out of it. I mean, I'm not saying you should take advantage of people, but there's a way to do it that you could still make more money and have some profit coming out of there. Table and chair rentals, kitchen use, cleanup setup, that kind of
So
stuff.
how does their existing fee structure compare with the fee structure that we just updated? And so how is that going to transition? What's our operational plan for that come 2027?
so we're gonna
This
do
isn't
the
just a one
same,
done tomorrow, this
No.
is long term.
correct, so we would do the same fee review that we do annually for all of our fee structure. And this would dovetail into that and become part of it. One thing, we've already had a conversation about a couple of theoretically, what's this compared to this? Would you consider this a facility or is this a venue? So we've already started those conversations, but we're not gonna get really serious about that until we take up all of our fees over the same time year.
So are all the bookings that exist now until the end of the year are those payments going towards? Once this is signed off on to the town?
Yes, once
Or
we
is
take
this
over,
still offsetting
What would be
the
both?
organization's expenses?
So it goes to, it's paid directly into the community center and it's operation cost. So whatever you make off of our calendar bookings is what, like, that can go to the town, that stays within that fund.
So like October yoga.
Right.
Yeah, would go to the
It's
town.
coming to the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, cause that money's designated to the community center, that is our rental fee, it's part of the building agreement. The things that we can't transfer to the town after the board dissolves are things like fundraising that we designated to the Rotary Club or to the school. Things that we actually earmarked and said that this is what it's for, raise money for. We can't change that.
Right, no,
and we did not think it was fair to take ownership and then adjust the fees immediately. We thought the people that have already scheduled their events should have ample notice that it's gonna happen, and I think the best venue is when we do our fee structure adjustments every year at the same time. Gets to be a cycle that everybody counts on. Steps.
And if I'm being completely honest here, like in our lapse of. Most of the stuff that we're doing right now is donation based, like we're not even really charging fees, we should be charging.
I mean, Mike brought up a really good point too.
Thank you,
about
Mike.
proximity.
What would you like to say?
Well, if we're all through moving the town hall over there, it's right next door and kind of back in courtyard, so it might be easier to manage, or
Right,
I can't think of any exact purpose, but there might be something in the future, we can, you know. See a great benefit having to together, so.
That's why the initial discussion with the board, it seems to us that the only organization that has synergy with what the community center is doing is the town at the moment, so. We feel like with our current staff, who's excellent, you know, Kevin and Bob, that and then will we have Jay coming up next week, Alicia?
June first.
June 1st, so we'll have 2.5 people that can take that responsibility over.
great, thank you.
I think it's just very important that we realize the value of that building looking alive with the
Yeah.
storefront situation that we have on Sixth Street now.
Mm-hmm.
And summer is great, you guys are there and you're open. But we still have, you know, September through December to worry about. And if things don't change along Sixth Street, but those are going to be expenses that we're absorbing. And I don't know if we have the bandwidth within staff now to all of a sudden be a venue. You know, to have somebody be a venue coordinator over there, you know, it's gonna take some initial time. You know, these first 6 months and that's a lot when. I see a lot of struggle now with activities and work product that is coming out of this town now. And to add this on, and I'm not saying that's not the deal here, that's a deal breaker, but this is a huge undertaking for us. And it's all gonna come back on us because we all wanna put the best face forward for Georgetown.
That's
And
right.
so it's not just, you know, getting acquisition of the building, oh yay, we can own another building, you know, there's, this is.
I would throw out there, I would argue I'd push back a little bit on the claim that we are failing in terms of our management of our facilities, which is what this is gonna be. This isn't gonna be adding to the town administrator's work, this is gonna be adding to Bridget's work, and she's managing the scheduling of our facilities, and it will add to Kevin and Bob and Jay's routine maintenance of that facility, which they handle beautifully. They could handle more if they had to, and they do. So I'm not concerned, as long as we are looking at it with 2 eyes here. Business as usual, no problem. Upping the ante like we all want to do at some point, that will cost us at some point. There's no getting around that, but whenever you want to improve quality, you have to invest a little money.
And we're investing a lot of time with you and Kasia, putting in to create this new venue under the town of Georgetown. Just as we're putting in a lot of time with the housing authority, staff time that is taking away, and I didn't use the word fail. I see a struggle with staff time. And so we're spreading ourselves thinner, you're spreading your staff thinner, and
there's gonna be a point where it could break. Or we're hiring more staff and
That's fair.
so,
Yeah,
That was Amanda's point. You're gonna have to look at the 2027 budget.
Yeah,
And
I
have
think that the
someone-
2027 budget probably has an FTE in there, that is dedicated to, or even maybe a PTE. But I don't think it would be, I don't think we'd lose money if we did that. If that person was able to get the, the bookings handled and generate revenue within a fee structure that is still obviously achievable and reasonable. The thought of the building just disintegrating into no use
right.
is also not a appealing.
no, it's not an option, it's not.
So I mean, from where I sit, I totally hear your concerns, I think they're super valid, and I think that Dennis has he's gotta figure out how to structure it, but it is good investment for us to get our real estate from the town's perspective. We have a maintenance fund that's going along with this, which I apologize, I missed in that lower part. So it's 224,000, 300,000.
It's 224 for the P and L from 225. I
Yeah.
think Jamie's telling you a number that's reflecting.
Thank you, okay, that's why I was confused, I appreciate that, so to me, it's not. It's pretty straightforward that it's kind of what we have to do, and I think it has to be managed thoughtfully. Because if we don't do it, it's not gonna get done.
But I think the consequence is that right there.
Yeah.
If, yeah, we could take a hard hit if it's not operated right. We're gonna take an incredible hit if we don't do anything and really set that place bad.
Yeah.
Like, so it is one of those things, like, you guys cannot give us a choice.
No,
You guys are just both,
Well, it's-
I'm saying it to be fair,
No, no.
cause you guys are done with it, but
Right.
also too, I mean, this is an awesome opportunity for us.
Yeah.
You don't just give stuff kind of given to you, especially with the amount of money that's coming with it. I do see us, like, I would love part of that to be, yeah, we're gonna pay somebody to operate, even if it's a certain amount of time period. Volunteer stuff is awesome for a little bit, but everybody does get burned out. You
Yeah,
know, you need somebody in here that, then what's the vision part? If somebody's gonna be in here, just like it ties in with the non-for-profit, like Rich mentioned, we could really utilize that place for a lot of good stuff. Not sure what is, whatever the vision decides to be, but I don't know how you don't not make money on that place. Like,
Well,
what
and
we
But
can
it's,
do with
well,
it.
the
Well,
role
it's
is
to cover everything.
because it's all volunteer.
Well, that's like I'm saying, like, I think the money to cover the maintenance of the building to make it a good
Right.
investment. To get it where it needs to be, and then, yeah, and I assume once we have it, it's 10 years down the road, if somebody wants to sell it and turn it into something, that's always a possibility, right, or not, I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
so-
think we're looking at every possibility in terms of future.
Yeah.
One of the things we've talked with other parties about is they come in and they run the building for us. And we get a 10% concession of their profit making and they manage it for us. That's one option too. We don't know because we haven't gotten down that point. I just
Right.
know that right now, I'm reassuring you that status quo, the town can handle it. Now, what it becomes 1 year from now, 2 years from now, that is the exciting part of this group and what we can decide what we're gonna
and
do.
that's the charge and concern, I think. What I'm hearing is that the building has to come to us because otherwise where does it go? But we wanna go forward very mindfully to everybody's point regarding what could happen, what are the costs, what are the actual true costs, and how is it really gonna be utilized? And I think that's a future discussion. Are there any other comments?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay.
because we are under a time crunch to do something different by the end of December. So what is, and maybe this is a question for you, Dennis, what is the timeline to have a business plan and to,
That's a good comment.
how are we gonna incorporate that into our budget? So that way it's staffed or it's taken care of starting January 1st.
With our
2027.
seasonality, I would say comfortably, we have a year to get a really solid plan together. I feel that because really, it's not, once we possess it, we know that there isn't a lot of use on it outside of private in-town events, January to May.
So as long as we maintain this status quo,
Maintain those status
while
quo
we're
events.
developing that business plan.
And then I would, from where I sit, just with our seasonality, Memorial Day would be the benchmark for when we have to have that next level operation. Which would buy us a half a year But okay, so 9 months with enough teeth for a full-time person.
We're gonna need a business plan though, but
Yeah, we're gonna-
preparing the budget.
100%.
Right,
Even though
That's-
there may be
that's what- I guess that's
alterations
what I'm
and
at.
changes,
right.
and then 2028 may be totally different, but we're gonna need a plan for what 2027, what we can anticipate.
Yeah.
Well, also too, what about, any unknown maintenance that for the building or anything that?
They're like probably.
Like. You guys are.
If we're lucky.
So, Mark Reynolds is our president,
Yeah.
and so he takes care of all of our building maintenance and is in as good a shape as it can be. There's no big, like,
Harry,
Need a whole new roof.
no, we're not hiding a hole in the wall or in the
Yeah.
floor, there's, you know.
Buckets for.
if it was haunted, we could pay more money.
And if we, to be fair, we care about it, so that's why we
Yeah.
offered it, because we care so much about it, so we wouldn't just give it to you and say, kick rocks, we're done.
I'm just thinking for like.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
as a selectman, I appreciate that you guys are taking care in this process, and that you do respect and recognize some of the things that we have to evaluate, but I know that the longevity of the community center is really important to the fabric of our community, and so, thank you. for
We can move it, it was moved once. We can
I
move it
know.
again.
That's so weird to me.
Mike, what do you
Well,
think?
thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Are there any other?
Not even further questions,
Yes, no further
no
questions.
further questions.
There is one thing which hasn't actually been mentioned at all, is that the community centre is the, what's the word I want? It's, you know, it's what?
Heartbeat?
No, no, it's used when there is an emergency on, say, I-70.
That's right, that's right.
And so,
That's
you
right.
know, if the alternative is that it just falls into disrepair and doesn't get used at all, we would also be losing that safety,
That's right.
you
That's a
know.
good point.
And let's face it, this particular corridor here of quite why they refer to it as
Identity.
a path, I don't know, but the Georgetown Pass is a huge accident black spot on a regular basis. I mean, we forget the 100-car pileup that we recently had, and the sensor was used.
Right. No, that's a really excellent point to remind us all that it really is a shelter as well as everything
Shelter,
else.
thank you.
Thank you, we were throwing it out there. So if there are no more questions, there is a motion in your packet, I'm
I
sorry,
have two questions,
Oh,
and then
sorry.
Jerry's gonna make the suggestion, and he wants to alter the motion. just a bit.
apologies, okay.
I think it's reasonable for staff to be able to put together a business plan along with the next budget proposal. I think that's reasonable.
Mhm.
So, and then secondly, I just wanna make sure everybody's comfortable with the $2.26.
Do you need to
What do you
borrow
need?
it?
Do you need a loan?
Well,
That's kind of my point.
I've got it.
Do you have the penny though? Okay,
Yeah.
the penny is like.
Pennies are hard to
How
get.
does that?
Oh, I have stash, I think if you need something, purchase. please.
Oh, I do.
Thank you very much.
You do?
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, Jerry, did you want to?
Yes, I would like to alter the motion a little,
Okay.
I'm sorry for doing that on.
No,
on
no
fly.
problem.
I'd like to just, before we actually get to that stage, ask, this business about the almost $250,000 worth of Procter and Gamble stock, which is, and if I understood correctly, there is an additional funds make up another 100,000.
No, sir, it's what you're not seeing on the current paperwork that you have is what's currently in the balance because of the interest rates. So,
That's the money it's accrued on that original request.
So has the dividend from PMG been reinvested in additional stock? I mean,
no, sir, I am not the accountant,
no, okay, so
sorry.
We can ask those questions. I think they're good questions and
Yeah.
it's probably something you can find
Al's
out.
been sending me updated financials since we started this conversation, so it's not hard for us to get another one
Yeah, we can get one
at
for
the end
you
of the month.
and for the board to see.
I know it's important for the community center to
you see what I don't
keep
understand?
up with those stocks, but I also wanna make sure that the town respects that stock and isn't
Use
tapping
that for the
into
same
that, or
purpose.
anything else. I don't want to be the county,
You
okay?
can't do that. It's limited to only
I want to make
this purpose. The donation and the letter that Jamie has drafted for, to be sent to the donors outlines everything plainly and very transparently, because we don't want to misalign with the family.
So what happens with, as the stock increases? And that value,
Excuse me, stock hasn't moved in 5 years. This is what is actually worrying me, is that we have we're potentially acquiring an asset which has not performed at all.
Well, would we be allowed to, like I brought up the possibility of it, like pushing it into a COLA or CSAID, which are the state-backed government entity investment groups. And they're generally safer, high yield investments, as high as they can be. Would we be allowed to reinvest it into?
That
Into
would be a question of our auditor, because the town is limited on what kind of investments it can make, and it'd be ultra conservative, so.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, that's why COLAs and CSAIDs.
So I would equate Procter and Gamble stock today as almost like an ultra conservative investment that is intended to hold its value. It's not gonna grow hugely year to year. And in fact, there is no evidence that Procter and Gamble stock that they have in the trust has gone down over the time. It's only gone up.
And the numbers I got.
I'm sorry, I beg to differ, I have a financial background. And P&G stock,
I'll give you the-
in actual fact, at
I
least,
respect that, Alex, and I'll
what,
give
what
you
I'm
the
suggesting
prospectus.
is that should we acquire this, that we actually transfer that into cash, reinvest in UST bills on a rolling basis, where right now we would actually get a greater yield than P&G stock is giving.
And maybe that's a possibility. We'll give that to our financial advisor
Exactly.
to advise us on.
we may
Yes.
not be able to though,
Right.
because of the agreement that the
Yeah.
halls have.
Right, so we have to have somebody look at that.
That, so all I ask is before we make this motion, and I don't know if this is on you, Jerry, or wherever, that those answers that we don't have right now, and I know we don't, and you know, that you come back to the board as soon as that information is available, and so that we understand the rest of this
Absolutely.
agreement.
Yeah.
Yes.
The numbers I gave you are from our board meeting Monday that we had as a full board to discuss the sale, so that when we came to this meeting, it would be.
Almost firm.
Yeah.
Information.
And so that being said, Lil has all those numbers, we've been watching them, they go up, they have not gone down on the stock. And so, you know, the letter of offer that we sent to Dennis and town staff was designated as such that that money cannot go anywhere but to remodeling.
Right, that's fine, but is there a restriction on, in terms of the sale of the stock?
So this is something that it sounds like we need further financial information on, so maybe Jerry, is it possible for us to either delay the motion until we get that information or incorporate that need for that information into the motion?
Well, let's wait a minute.
Okay.
Let me ask, so the board would be saying no if we can't convert the cash?
No, I think the community center needs this decision and this vote
Right.
tonight, and I respect that.
Yeah,
I just want us to know.
Get
for
more.
future.
Absolutely.
Right.
We will put it on the fast track to get a financial advisor to give us a look at this and tell us what our options will be. And I will get that in front of you as quickly as I
I just
possibly.
want that money protected for,
Yeah.
let's say,
Exactly.
donated to the community center initially. And to offset anything that goes down the line, and I don't want it offsetting some other project that the town has, I want it to stick with the building,
Okay, so,
Not the gazebo.
not the
that's
gazebo.
or anything else.
Or any other.
Okay.
store or
So, Mary, are you
I've got
clear
it.
on where that motion has to go?
Yes,
Okay,
believe it or not, the motion is now this.
Okay.
very good.
And the great thing is,
You're hurting my feelings, Sherry.
I'm sorry, it's okay. You know, in the Second World War, the Navajo language was used to.
That's right.
Because no one could understand it.
There you go.
My handwriting is basically the same as.
All right, excellent.
No one but
Well,
my
you keep
mother.
your code talking and then.
No one but my mother can. But as I was listening to the
We should hire
dialogue,
her.
as I was listening to the discussion here, I think this motion accomplishes a couple of things. First, I do want to be able to have a title commitment on the property. Even though with quitclaim deed, you end up with the property, if there are title constraints or problems, the title commitment will tell us that. It's a very cheap way to find out stuff about the property and it will help me design the deed. And secondly, I think that, we can accommodate the, concern about the stock and some language I've built in. So you can tell me what you think about a motion that would say, it doesn't keep a lot of, sorry, what was written. But it would say this: I move the board of selectmen accept the offer from community center board and authorize the town attorney to obtain a title commitment identifying any unacceptable title constraints. And if approved, authorize the police judge to execute such instruments as approved by the town attorney to complete the transfer of the ownership of the property and associated stock and personal property, provided the same is consistent with the restrictions on land title and stock ownership. And that will require us to look at both on the land title side, you know, if there's anything there, and on the stock ownership side where it's been earmarked. And if you pass that motion, I can read it again, if you pass that motion, going forward, unless there's some red flags, it will just happen. Now, I would say in honesty that if you want all that sort of research and to be put together and back to you in 2 weeks, we can do that too. I think we can probably design all the documents as necessary for the personal property and the stock. I'll do a bill of sale because that's what you do for personal property and all the contents, the chairs and things. We'll do by bill of sale, and then of course probably a quitclaim deed, unless there's some wild title constraint that I recommend that this board look at before it, you know, says yes. But as written, I can read it again, but as written, you're basically saying, yeah, staff, make it all happen. As long as there are no red flags, this can happen.
Well, does this board want to see the stock limitations, if any? Does this board want that information to come back to them? No,
Maybe eventually, but it's not gonna change my vote.
okay,
Right, it's not gonna change a thing.
okay, so if there's an issue, then we would hear it.
Yeah,
Okay,
but if not, and I looked at our charter, it doesn't require an ordinance to buy property. It's just votes for members of the board or majority of the quorum. So I can read the motion again. I don't wanna hustle it past you. It would be, I move the board of selectmen accept the offer from the community center board and authorize the town attorney to obtain a title commitment, identify any unacceptable title constraints, and if approved, authorize the police judge to execute such instruments as approved by the town attorney to complete the transfer of ownership of the property and associated stock and personal property to the town of Georgetown, provided the same are consistent with the restrictions on land title and stock ownership.
do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Alex, any second?
Second.
All those in
Quick
favor?
question,
Yeah.
should we be putting a specific address on there or some type of identifier to that? Or is it not important if you're?
I don't think so, no,
Okay.
it'll be all over the deed and the bill of sale and all the other stuff.
We have a motion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Very good, thank you.
Exciting time.
Jamie, thank you so much for your time, we really appreciate it, it was quite the discussion.
I thought that was in the thought.
Wanted to make it valuable.
It was great, that's right. We wanted to make sure you felt like your time away from home was well worth it. Thank you so much, we're excited and looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you for the building.
Yes, absolutely. We have your next three items, items 2, 3, and 4 are related to the gazebo and the bid set and all of these things. We also were handed a motion that looks like this, that is related to this. Dennis, I'm gonna let you handle this and walk us through these various.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So, as you are aware, we were on a very timely, very strict timeline for getting the gazebo fixed and repaired and rebuilt before the 4th of July. So today is a very important deadline for making important decisions. And these three items that are on the agenda this evening were specifically planned for the placeholders in case action was needed tonight. And if there is not action that we can take to move forward, then we move into Plan B, which is rebuilding the gazebo after the 4th of July and then making alternative plans to accommodate 4th of July festivities in City Park. So we issued the RFP on a very tight timeline. We gave bidders 10 days to respond. I actually took the liberty of giving it to Dwayne and asking him to look at it in terms of its structure and whether from a contractor's eye, would you have any questions or whether this was good enough. He helped me out and said, yep, this is good, this is great. And then he told me this isn't gonna work. Because he said that, and I agree with him, and this is borne out, and this is what we were trying to test. Most of the contractors that are gonna bid on this have their schedules built out through July 4th. They can't just drop everything and build a gazebo. And then, secondly, we wanted to try to keep this to local contractors. And again, we've talked to a couple of them and they have their schedules full already. So on Monday, the deadline of noon, we received one proposal. I've given you a copy of that proposal. And it came in at 139,600, I think. Is that the number that I scribbled on the copy that you had?
139,400.
And then if you look also at the bottom of the timeline, you'll see that he has outlined what his tentative timeline for different construction phases. And that would not meet our deadline, because if you notice, that starts with frame time 1 week, that's frame time. So he's starting day one framing. That's not gonna happen either, because materials have to be ordered, delivered, and received. And I don't think that there's any way that happens within the first 1 or 2 weeks. So we're definitely past the 4th of July. So with that, I can answer any of your questions, but I've put together a quick motion that would reject the proposals, which is within your purview according to Court of Ordinances. And then direct me to rebid the project in an effort to encourage broader competition and obtain multiple proposals. That would be on the first item here on the agenda. So we're recommending that you make that motion and adopt that this evening.
And so I have a quick question. If we do this, which I think is a good idea, can we then open ourselves up to trying to get grants for the building of the gazebo?
We can do that anytime we want. It all depends on the timeline of application for those grants.
Okay,
So if.
but I knew we were in a tight time frame with this,
Sure.
so we were like, no, grants can't.
So if there's a grant that comes out tomorrow,
Yeah.
for example, we could apply for that.
Okay,
As long as the deadline for the application, the review and the award happens before we start construction.
correct.
Which I would bet that even if it came out tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's probably not till September that we get a grant award. So it's probably not gonna happen unless the board decides to delay this as a budget project for 2027. Then we're really giving ourselves a better chance for grant applications.
Okay, any questions on this, item number 2?
So one is, is that what you anticipate, Dennis, that you would do this during construction season next year?
I think that we could give it a try for a fall bidding, because a lot of times we get the benefit of these companies that are finishing their big projects up at the end of the summer and they want to jump on one last small project, like when we did the paving last year.
Yeah.
We benefited from Foothills finishing up their scheduled projects and then jumping on this little 2-day project here, which benefited us. This could happen here. So some of the contractors that we have on our list, we had a list of 10 that we sent this to specifically, or any of the ones that saw us posting on our website, they say, okay, we're gonna open up, our crews are gonna have nothing to do on September 20th. We're gonna bid this. And then we would be flexible on the timeline as long as we could get it done.
And then the second question, have you already looked at what it costs for rental for a mobile stage for the 4th of July? Because my guess is they're probably in high demand during that weekend.
Well, we know 2 things. Mary and I had a conversation over the weekend that the cowboy band is fine with just being on the grass. As long as it had some kind of sunshade. So we've checked into this morning, we made calls to see if we could, actually, we've had calls into tent companies already because we're working on some Christmas market thing. So we know what the rates are there for getting those tents. we don't know what the rate is for those stage pieces that we would put over the base that's out there right now, and that I hope to have in the next couple days.
And they don't need a stage, they just want to start on this.
As long as they're covered, yeah.
Well, yeah, because we've lost some
It
shade.
could be
over there.
muddy though, which I was up to Ryan's.
Put a top down.
And you know what, if that's the case, we throw down some pieces of plywood if we had to. I mean,
It'll work out.
we don't use this gazebo to the extent that we're trying to create this great venue for the entire summer in a rush job.
That's
kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So-
I will say, I know Mill Creek does really high quality work, but I'm not comfortable with the single bid.
And if
No.
the bids come in for
And they
this,
do, they're really good, they
They
do
are.
excellent work.
so where are we going to, and maybe this is a discussion after we have this motion. Anyone tell me? When we started to look at this and some of the information in the packet, we were juggling some other projects in anticipation that we might be able to afford to build a gazebo this year. And so are we going to commit to still taking the slow road on some of those projects if we're going to pursue this for a potential fall build and not know yet, you know, maybe for another month or so what the bids come in at? So that we're in the position where we may be able to financially afford it if we're, you know, changing around some line items in different funds. as
Which is
opposed
item
to-
number 4, right? Is that action item number 4 that we're talking
Well,
about?
I don't know how we're gonna deal with the next couple of items because of how we're moving on this particular motion.
Well, why couldn't you just, I mean, all we're, in a sense, just redoing it, just saying, hey, we're extending the bidding process because we understand that we can't have it done by the 4th of July.
Mhm.
So just allow for a true good timeline of good quality bids for the next 3 or 4 weeks. With a September starting date with, yeah, we wanna know how long it's gonna take, but we're not pushing far.
But we were ready to hold back on some other projects, knowing that we were going to reallocate those funds. So I don't want us to continue to move forward on those, and then all of a sudden be like a month down the line, 6 weeks down the line, we get the bids in. And we're like, oh, too bad, so sad, now we're gonna wait till 2027.
Well, I think that bid,
It's worth the waiting for the 4 weeks to see, or you just make the decision now and we just don't build it this year. But I mean, I think at this point, if you decide that, then we're just gonna go, well, we didn't like one bid, and we're just not gonna do it. I mean, I think,
What projects were we gonna hold off?
but I
Well,
think
hang
the
on, that's-
release doesn't,
so I
I think
wanna
the
just-
release doesn't
right.
affect that
so
problem.
there's an action item number 4 where the budget impacts, which Mary's addressing, are considered. So let's get through this motion, then we're gonna go to the next one, and then this is all gonna tie up. So, if you guys will bear with the process on your agenda, there is a motion and it looks like this for this action item number 2. And would anyone like to make that
I'll
motion?
make that motion. I
Mary,
move that the
thank
board
you.
of selectmen reject the sole proposal submitted to the city park gazebo project and direct the town administrator to rebid the project in an effort to encourage broader competition and obtain multiple proposed.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Was that Alex? Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Okay, so we're gonna move on to action item number 3, which is the bid set on all of this, which I'm assuming that's what Dwayne was looking at.
Yes, so the
Okay.
item that you approved at the last meeting was the basic design that Tom Peterson did. In the meantime, he has now added a considerable amount of detail to create a full bid set, which you have in front of you.
Mhm.
That was included in the RFP so that anybody bidding on the project knew what they were getting into. It's got measurements, it's got, design for the support beams underneath the ceiling, it's got a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm just asking, regardless of how we proceed with bidding, we would like this to be greenlit too. It's just one more step. I want the board of selectmen to keep approving this as we move forward with step by step by step, so that we don't have to come back later and do a whole bunch of re-education and,
Yeah, one quick thing, did we get the engineering finalized on that?
no, that's the next step.
Gotcha, but this works with this, because it's for Zach, that's obviously the next engineer.
That's correct.
Just making sure everybody else understands.
Yeah,
So,
so this would be a bid set that a contractor could look at and go, hey, this
We
is.
still have to have engineering for that.
yes.
We still need to have that.
And we actually have an engineer structural engineer under contract that's waiting in the wings to start
Okay,
their
perfect, that's
Tome. And so while they're waiting for the work to move forward on the Tome structural engineering work, they're gonna do this small little project for us and give us a final structural engineering report.
So we gotta approve this, so they can actually do it.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Okay, so, this is a technical, I'm gonna describe it as a technical approval of a bid set, knowing we need engineering to come behind it. And so do we have any other questions for Dennis or Dwayne on this bid set? Okay, having, yes, Mike,
No, I was gonna move. So
yes, please make the motion.
I move that the board of selectmen accept the final gazebo bid set completed by architect Tom Peterson.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Wayne, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, so we have the bid set approved. Now, item number 4, and this circles back to what Mary was talking about, is a budget amendment that would have to be made, but without a bid and understanding the impact of costs, you know, how do we amend a budget that we can do later? So anyway, that was my commentary. So any other comments on this part? Yes, Amanda, I know you're chewing a wonderful Milano. These are just Move G cookies. I'm just saying they're really good. Okay, so Amanda does have a question. We
Yes, I
wait for her.
apologize, thank you, that was very awkward.
No, no worries. It's all good.
So when I was asking about the capital projects. That we were holding back on. Obviously, I know that we have this portion of it, but. There are other capital projects because of the cost of this first RFP. That have to be considered, that have to also be held back on, because this is only half of that.
So the $70,000 was developed in consultation with Tom Peterson.
Okay.
And trying to get a ballpark, because I didn't want to come back multiple times for a budget amendment. So he and I talked about this, 70,000 seemed reasonable at the time, this was before we got the 139. And the two projects that I looked at in the budget that seemed to have the least impact and also provided the funds from the least number of projects was the sign project for the parks. That is a multi-year project with the town has allocated, the board has allocated $50,000 per year for those sign replacements. The other thing about that is it's heavily connected to what goes on with the Gateway Arch project, because the themes there have been connected, they're hand in glove. So if for example, the Gateway Arch project is delayed 1 year and the park signs are delayed along with that, there's no real impact. If the Gateway project goes forward on the arch, then we're right there ready to go and keep moving on this. And we have $50,000 already earmarked for 27 to do that work. So I feel like that is only a small delay if we choose to do that. On the skate park design, we were very conservative and we put 50,000, but 30,000 still will go keep that project moving forward on the design phase.
So,
I also think part,
go ahead.
I'd say on that
I do.
piece a little bit, which I know
Because it impacts
obviously
their budget.
we're already pushing anyway. We can talk about it next meeting, but I mean, does that seem fair? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. They're having it is the town's budget. I'm kind of a stickler on how the Parks Commission advises the board on that budget. And so to have them provide some advice on that, like what we're doing, the board wants to take these funds from these two projects this year to help fund the gazebo. I think that that's perfectly fine. Now that we have direction on the first item tonight, we have many meetings that we could do this budget amendment. We don't have to do that tonight.
Right, so I think that's important to realize, we don't have to do this budget amendment today. Right, there's no rush on it, we can wait, we can see what actuals are, correct? And then, because this sounds to me like something that could be happening very quickly. Once we know the numbers, we can make these amendments quickly.
Sure, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, also too, I mean, when we're talking, because I understand what you're saying, Mary. Here's the other thing to think about too, though, with the gazebo. If it is rushed right now, so it makes sense but if we don't do it in the fall, if we're gonna wait another year. I mean, in the building industry, stuff has gone through the roof in the last 5 years, it's crazy. And I would hate to wait a year and we just can't afford it at all. Yeah, there's a possibility of getting grants, I guess. But, I mean, the fall, you're shooting for the best. material costs by then are coming back down in the fall and the spring, material costs go right back up, that's just how it works. People are coming off the building season, it gets a little cheaper, then it gets more expensive.
But now we have time and we
Well,
have
I'm
time
not
to
saying that
say,
we don't, but if we're gonna bid it out, because you wanna decide what the best to do is, we don't have time, I mean, you just put that back out there and be like, hey, in 3 weeks, we need to see what you got. And I mean, I still think people will bid high because they don't trust what the material's gonna be in 3 months. But it's, yeah, but if you wait a year, you know, it's. When I look at that, I'm giving people a price in a house, I wouldn't even have a clue anymore, it's insane out there.
yeah,
You
no,
know, like, I wouldn't even guess farm.
Duly noted.
Like, just come see me in a year,
Right.
so. And I think that's what would happen, if you're gonna hold off on the bid, they're gonna be like, come and see us next year, maybe we're bid, maybe we don't.
I appreciate that.
But this doesn't cover it, so to me, it makes sense to table it, because then, until we have real numbers. And then we have decisions to make.
However, I would like to think that we're not going to move forward with the signs per se for the next 4 to 6 weeks until we get these bids in. So that all of a sudden we don't have those funds
Yeah.
available earmarked for potentially going towards this project.
That's a good point.
And then we're, okay, now where are we gonna get it from? And I think,
But the signs would be an action, item, right?
well, but the sign, but
They
the
would, correct.
Yeah,
the
so we
signs
got,
are, the signs are easy, I mean, it's. The building season is upon us, we all know that, but I don't think the signs really fall into that same urgency. You know, with building season as, so it's an easily delayed project, just let's not go buy signs tomorrow.
Right.
Because we might need that money for a gazebo.
for sure, but we would see the signs coming in included as an action item, so it's not like they can just happen, right, we don't.
It can't happen
Yeah,
outside.
we don't want them to go ahead and do any work on it either, you know, just like, let's not spin our wheels for nothing.
Absolutely understood.
And this is not a project that would be, if it came in at $1,200 and it's within my authority to approve. I would not just go ahead and sign off on that one, because this is something that exhibits the character of the town that you have to decide. I don't want that responsibility.
So we have, this action item number 4, there's been an idea to table it. How do we go about that? Do I hear a motion to table this agenda item number 4?
I motion to table agenda item number 4 pending further bids.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Very good. So agenda item number 4 is tabled. The next one is agenda item number 5, which is a consideration of ordinance number 3 for the IBC for second reading. This is a public hearing for this. Jerry, did you want to be handling this one?
Yes, I'm the staff report and I can kind of navigate you through it. I open the public, just for the record, open the public hearing,
Oh, thank you.
whatever time it is.
It is 7:15.
Terrific. Thanks. You have 2 ordinances adopting uniform codes. The longer one is this one, ordinance number 3. And it adopts the whole panoply of, building codes out there. And Lynette Kelsey has provided some comments which are in your packet, and I can prepare to tell you about. The second one is your next agenda item, so if we can reserve the comments on the wildfire resiliency. And Lynette made a comment on that, and I reviewed that and have a reaction for you and a suggestion on that as well.
Thank you.
But the, what I'll call the basic set of international codes. Lynette had altogether 6 comments in her memo, and then a follow-up on her number 6. Number 6 was the wildfire code, so prefer that. Of the other 5, 3 of them relate to fire codes, and let me say why I think it's understandable, it's confusing. I went back myself and looked at it. Our present code in the present book does 2 things that are frankly inconsistent with one another. It delegates to the fire authority the power to adopt fire codes and enforce them within the town, including the uniform fire code. Then it goes on another section to adopt the uniform fire code. It says that applies unless and until the fire authority adopts one. So we've kind of got it covered twice. And that is, it's not surprising when that identified, well, which is it? And is it, who's on first, what's on second? So before we even dig into the details, to me, the sort of policy choice for the board is do you wanna keep, which way do you wanna go? I believe the structure that I see in the present code is, hey, the town has an intergovernmental agreement with fire authority. If they're gonna handle this, they're gonna adopt the code, they're gonna deal with it. Yeah, I think that's probably the better way to go, and if that's the case, then we don't need to adopt the uniform fire code, because the authority can and will, and can do its amendments to it, and can rock on. That's an easy path that's actually provided for in our code, but layered on top of that, we've been adopting the uniform code ourselves. Probably doesn't do harm, other than the fact that the version of fire code, the fire authority adopts, if there are some local amendments they adopt, might be inconsistent with the local amendments the town adopts. But before we dig into some of those details, the real question is, if we're comfortable with fire authority running the show, which apparently they have to do, then it will be easy for me to just slice out of this ordinance the fire code stuff, and make sure in our base code that I also slice out the inconsistency where we say fire code, fire authority, you're in charge, right? And we're done. And oh, by the way, we're adopting fire code. So depending upon how you tell me, what you tell me to do on question number one, I know what to do, and we'll solve it. So the inconsistency, I think, was fair for Manette.
Yeah, no, I'm glad
pick
you
up on.
caught it, that was
Well, I'm
awesome,
glad she did. She's a
Absolutely.
detailed person,
very,
and we appreciate that.
absolutely do.
So
Um,
does
So
anyone
what's your
know?
recommendation, Jerry?
My recommendation is that quite clearly the town isn't the expert in this arena. Fire authority is, they're all over it. And I would recommend that, that when you take the motion, like answer like one other question she has about ordinance number 3. I can help you with the motion to say adopt ordinance number 3, with the changes recommended by the town attorney, including the changes concerning fire code, and I can produce a clean version. So that's the fire code part of things.
And that's the recommendation that you have for this action item number 5.
It is, although I did want to honor Lynette's questions of 2 other things she
Okay, go ahead.
raised.
Yeah.
And that was in the memo. And it's really her numbers 2 and 3. Which, number 2, it's wind load. She said, gee, I'm not sure, is this gonna work? I got a response from Alejandro, who was here last time.
He's on it too.
So he's on, hi Alejandro. The suggestion was, well, we could follow, we could do that. I'm not completely sure that we need to do that tonight. You can always amend a uniform code. I'm not, I would want, I think, more specific language for an amendment. Right now, we have kind of a discussion of what to do, but I don't see any harm in holding that amendment for later. I don't think it's big enough to hold up the adoption of all the uniform codes. We've got contractors out there that are gonna wanna rely on the current set of codes. I don't want the tail to wag the dog. Alejandro, do you believe that at some point, you and I can have a targeted language of amendment on wind load to bring to the board?
Yes, sir.
Terrific.
Great.
Thanks, Alejandro.
All right, thank you, Alejandro.
You're a gentleman, and Alejandro, while you are still there, the
I'm still
other
here.
issue that Lynette raised was her number 3, where she says on building height, we should clarify that the BOS, as the building, code advisory board, can grant a variance for building height. That is actually already done, and if you look on page 40 of your packet, you will see that. You will see that under 1508.020 conflicts. It says, second sentence, the Board of Selectmen shall serve as the building board of appeals and hear all appeals from orders after the act, and will have authority to grant variances from the requirements of building code. I
I'm sorry,
think that.
Jerry, page 40 on my side.
Of your.
Oh, 47, sorry, thank you.
47 in your packet,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, page 47, everyone,
It's four, okay,
At the bottom.
at the bottom.
thank you.
But I think it's done already. You know, that clearly gives the board of selectmen the authority to do all that stuff. And that's right to raise it, but I think it's been.
Yeah. So we're good.
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
With all that in mind, and I'm happy to answer any other questions, we can have any discussion you like. I also want to thank Alejandro again. I could not have put this ordinance together without his help. It was just hours and hours in the middle of the night that he devoted to it, and then I got an email from him, and you know me, I'm a night guy. But
You are.
the product I think is nice and solid, with this fix on, frankly, on the fire code, which bless when that's hard for catching. So the motions in packet, I would address slightly, just say I move to approve ordinance number 3 and to direct the town attorney to work with Safeville to make the recommended conforming amendments to the ordinance, including with respect to the fire code.
okay, thank you. Do we have any questions on that motion as presented by Jerry? Any comments on that?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, Alejandro.
Good evening, everyone. I do want to agree with Jerry's call on, or opinion on the fire code. That responsibility should certainly lie with the folks who are professionals at that. That's one of the reasons that we do not get involved in fire code amendments or enforcement or anything. We don't have the certifications and the training and the experience, and I think it should be left up to the professionals. And also to agree on his comment on building height, that's typically a planning and zoning question. The building codes do not address building height, they address stories above grade, which is not the same thing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So Jerry's motion, would somebody like to make Jerry's motion?
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, we did, post public hearing.
Oh, sorry, very good.
7:25.
That's what I was waiting for.
Okay, then you can have it.
No, it's okay, you can have it.
7:25, the public hearing is closed, and do I hear a motion as made by our town attorney?
Still moved.
Second, Amanda? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right, that passes. So
Dwayne actually seconded.
Dwayne seconded.
Dwayne, I'm sorry, I was giving that to
He
you.
was a ventriloquist there, or.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you. You were throwing your voice and sounding like a did. Thank you for that correction. Action item number 6, again, this is the wildfire resiliency code, so Jerry, take it away.
Fair enough.
What, should we open a public hearing then?
Yes, you do.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you. So at 7:26, we are opening a public hearing.
Thank you. This is a little easier. You had a presentation from the fire authority. It's been a month or so ago now. And, so this ordinance adopts that code with the, really short local amendments recommended by fire authority, mostly to insert county Georgetown where the resiliency code as published, doesn't say so. And I have a copy of that resiliency code right here that was given to us. Lynette had a question about that we received today. And her question's a fair one. She said, my main concern is the compatibility of this code with our DRC guidelines and whether DRC has reviewed this and then offered their comments, particularly since section 402 building material could potentially be in conflict with DRC guidelines, especially in relation to historically significant structures. There is a provision in the resiliency code on historic structures, which I have in front of me, and it basically grants a variance to be issued for the repair and rehabilitation of the historic structure, meeting one of the following designations listed
or determined to be eligible for the National Register or a historic district or a local historic preservation program. And of course, we're all over that. We're a historic district and we have local designations. In other communities, they struggle, but we don't here start, identifying these buildings. I think it's probably true that DRC hasn't seen this code to kind of be okay with the language I related. And I honor the importance of the DRC and how they view things. And certainly we have the power to change this code any way we like. We're not stuck with the uniform code. So I think there are a couple of choices here. I don't know if there are three, but one would be you just adopt it the way it is, the motion of the packet, relying on this section 102.9 that I just described, saying there's an exception for historic structures. That's one door. Door number two is that you could continue the hearing so as to allow the DRC to review the code on this particular point and give you any recommendation. I don't know that there's a burning is probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
I'm never finding intentionally, only unintentionally. But you could continue. I don't know when DRC next meets, so they probably don't have a meeting scheduled.
Thursday.
Thursday, okay. You could have them, what do you think, DRC, is 102.9 good enough? Do you have a local amendment you want to suggest, and we can bring it back in a couple weeks?
Don't they meet twice a month?
Yes. Or some sort of door number three, which would be approve it. And direct that before it's finalized, that DRC's comments are taken into consideration and charge me with writing them into the ordinance. Most things I'm okay with doing that because I have a real good grip on what. Here I'm not as sure. Who knows what DRC will come, it might be, looks fine to us, make this little tweak or stop the presses. This isn't good, we have all this other concerns, and I really don't know among them. If you want to be safe, you probably continue.
I don't wanna push it down their throats in 2 days for them to be able to review this, but I think it might be the nice thing to do to make it conditional upon their review, so we could pass it, and then if there's some recommendations or, flags, we could, but at least then it's done.
I mean, unfortunately, even if DRC doesn't agree with it, it's
Right.
a little bit bigger than even our own, I mean,
But
because it is primarily targeting new builds and ADUs, and so, I mean. I obviously respect DRC tremendously, and I think they should get a weigh in on it, and I would be fine with passing and letting them, but if they're like, we need it, doesn't necessarily change what has to happen at the state level. Cause otherwise we're uninsurable.
Exactly.
Right.
But by putting it in front of them, it makes them aware of it
100%.
also.
I am super.
Otherwise, we blanket it and they all of a sudden come across it 6
100%.
months and 9 months from now, and they're like, when did this happen?
But my preference would be to pass it and then let Jerry go back and review it with them.
Well, that's what I said, because
Because
there's
I
a
just
difference
want to say.
Yeah, I
what
think
you
everybody-
do, rather than making it conditional, you could do with this, not unlike what we did with the wind load, which is, approve it. Recommend that it go to DRC. If they've got heartburn on one or two sections, they can work through that. I can bring to you an amendment.
I think that's
I think that's the way to go.
Gets it done, make sure we're insurable,
Right.
Shell doesn't want to dog, so.
The other reason why this is important in front of the DIC is they are going to be redoing their guidelines.
Yep.
And
Right.
if they can kill two birds with one stone on this item, it will help them down the road.
100%.
So do we close the public hearing before we have a
Close
motion?
public hearing, I think the recommended motion is fine, I'll understand that this, I need to review this with DRC, but that doesn't change the fact that
Okay.
you would just be, approving it tonight.
So at 7:31, we're closing the public hearing. Would someone like to make the motion that's in your packet?
Sure.
Thank you, Rich.
I move to approve ordinance number 4, series 2026. An ordinance adopting by reference the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code, CWRC, including appendices A through C, providing penalties for violations of the same, and making conforming amendments to Title 15 of the Georgetown Municipal Code,
set the same for public hearing on second reading on May 26th and instruct the town clerk to publish notice of that hearing as required by statute.
Oh, that was first reading, sorry, that was first reading motion. That whole motion minus the public hearing. Sorry,
All right, so we have to redo it? Do we need to reread it, Jerry?
it'd be the whole motion as read, but delete the language about set the same for public hearing.
Here we go again.
Sorry.
No worries. I move to approve ordinance number 4, series 2026, an ordinance adopting by reference the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code, CWRC, including appendices A through C, providing penalties for violations of the same and making conforming amendments to Title 15 of the Georgetown Municipal Code.
Second.
Was that Mary?
No, I think it's okay.
Mike, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. So that is ordinance number 4. Wildfire resiliency. Okay, item number 7. This is consideration of ordinance number 2, amending section 5.28050 on STRs. Dennis, did you want to speak to that? That's a Jerry. All right, Jerry, now we need to open a public hearing. So we are opening the public hearing at 7:33.
Cause this is second reading, you saw this in first reading already, did you not? In the meeting, I was not here, okay? Well, you've probably already spoken about it, I found a couple typo level things. In the third whereas, it says chatter instead of chapter, so there's that. And in the next last whereas, kind of a long sentence that works, but there's a word that needs to be in here. Believe it or not, in the third line, so that whole sentence is, you know, pursuant to this plat note, no sugar. And if the number of single family residents within the development included within the base number were calculated, this would result in. And again, it's a whereas, the operative section, as we all know, is what goes in the code. And that's, again, another rather long sentence that's in all caps on the second page, that basically says, see the Bighorn project, and I wanted to make sure it was properly described, so I used the recording information for the plat. And I've said, we don't use those units for the purpose of calculating the percentage short-term rental permits allowed in Ward 3.
So the Bighorn Development Crossing is very much delineated. We know exactly what that is. Okay.
We do, and when we refer to this, it's the first amended Bighorn Crossing subdivision plat and recording information. I struggled with, do I do some weird legal description? I thought, no, to capture all those properties, it's easy to just
Refer to the plat.
the plat from back in whenever it was.
So in that motion, would we need to say that the motion as corrected by you when you just noted?
Yeah.
Okay,
On typo level things, I think it's just whether or not they're mentioned in the motion.
Yeah.
That's something that
you're correct.
the scrivener just fixes.
Okay. Any questions for Jerry on this? Questions, comments? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Thank you, at 7:35. Do I have a motion? There's a motion in your packet. Who would like to read that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mary?
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve ordinance number 2, series 2026, to exclude Bighorn Crossing development when calculating the percentage of allowable short-term rental permits within the ward.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That is also passed. We have, so action item number 8 just looks like a memorandum. We don't have a cover sheet for this one. And so, this is again, a consideration of amendments regarding wireless telecommunications. Do we need a public hearing for this?
No, this first reading anyhow.
Okay, first reading.
Yeah,
Very good. So, Jerry, did you want to take this?
if I could, it's set up actually, it's a little longer than usual, but at the end it does have, a proposed motion, the language of motion.
Okay.
But let me give you the short first on, personal wireless with CMRS, regulations and facilities. It used to be a hotter topic than it is now, but it has to do with cell towers and where can they be? And they're a lot more controversial in other jurisdictions, not particularly here. There's only, I think, just the one maybe on the fire station still.
Yes.
But you know, where they're located and where the big ugly tower is an issue for people. If you drive on any interstate, you'll often see weird little things kind of attached to the top of a building and kind of sticking up, and those are all, you know, beyond just the tower you see. Those are cell facilities. You see some fake trees out there. In
They're fake? What?
in Tucson, Arizona, guess what? There's a fake saguaro on a ridge. There's, of course, you know, you see some fake, yeah, the fake trees really are obviously fake, but in any event, these are all done to do two things. Allow the construction of cell facilities, which the federal law says you can't, there's no matter if you be number one. And number two, make them as visually, aesthetically pleasing as possible within the limits of federal law. So that's what we see out there. The feds and most recently, the state legislature passed a bill effective January 1st of this year, which is really, I will say, an industry-driven set of requirements. There's a deemed granted provision. If you do not act on an application for a little small cell that would be attached to a light pole or a big tower within X number of days, then it is deemed granted by you, despite the fact that it hasn't gone through your land use processing. You're allowed to control it for land use purposes, and our code does do that. It has a system for that. But the deemed granted provision responds to the industry complaints over many years that some local governments slow voted the application under the theory that maybe it would go away. And so they went to Congress, and Congress is pretty favorable, so is the state legislature, to the wireless industry. And so they invented this deemed granted provision. And our code doesn't really have that. And it needs to, because this is a matter that's clearly of statewide concern. We're going to be, unless we want to play we're a territorial charter city and we don't have to care card. I think this is not the place to play that card. So that's one aspect of this code change. Second aspect is shot clock requirements, which relates to the deemed granted. When you're deemed granted, if you haven't acted within a certain amount of time, and I'm not a basketball fan, but you know, we all know what shot clocks are, right? You've got to shoot the basket within whatever amount of time. Same thing's true here. Once they file an application, depending upon the nature of that facility, it's a small one, 60 days, larger one, 90 days. I think there's 150 days. But again, if you wait too long within those time periods, it's deemed granted. There is an ability to pause that shot clock or hold the shot clock, but you have to step through some hoops to do that. We have a really talented law clerk at the firm now in the form of Vicente Tapia, and he has done a really good job with this memo and evaluating your code and generating the code changes that are necessary to make us comply with the January 1st of 2026. But this is not been a hot issue here in Georgetown, but I will say that it turns out to be issues for some communities, especially where an application gets filed and it just shows up and it's stamped through. But we're all busy and TikTok, and we wake up one day and it's 91 days. And all of a sudden, an application that we don't like the looks of because it's not aesthetic, it's in the wrong place, is deemed approved. So I highly recommend that the town put this in place. It, if anything, strengthens our regulatory system. And Vicente has, at my request, done a little draft memo to planning and public works staff to say, here's how to make sure you catch these. Be aware of when these applications come in. Here are your deadlines. So put it on your calendar. And more than any, you can fix the code, but very honestly, staff doesn't walk around with a copy of the code book. I'm the only one that ever does that because I'm the only one. And it needs to reside in somewhere besides the code book to make sure we don't miss these deadlines. It may well be another year before the application for one of these little animals comes in, but we want to make sure we're ready. So that's my story. and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Really quick, Dennis, staff have a recommendation on this?
No, the only thing that I reviewed was the memorandum on staff implementation, and that's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Thank you. Any questions for Jerry on this?
Where is it defined, and it may not be in our actual documents, but I'm sure it's in their documents, small cell versus large cell versus.
Monster cell. Yeah,
So-
versus monster, yeah, let me take a quick look at our section 1720.
I didn't see a definition part, and maybe it's somewhere else, but.
I think that I invented the regulations on personal wireless 1720-090 should have that. And let's look.
I mean, I remember we addressed this a couple of years ago,
Yeah, we
but
did.
this isn't anything new, but I don't know if we had the.
So on the
That was all-
third page towards the top, it's got bullet points.
Yep.
What
The
page?
third bullet, the fourth bullet point down altogether, the third one on that page is the 150-day shot clock for new structures and new installations. On structurally virgin existing structure.
That's
So
what
that
page?
is between the,
He's on 79.
oh
79,
yeah, something like that.
71?
Yep, page 71, towards the top. Third
Oh,
bullet.
got it. Okay, yeah.
And Mary, if you're looking for, okay, what's a micro facility, what's an alternative tower, what's a small cell? Those are all defined in code section 1720-090.
Okay, that's fine, I was just wondering
Yeah.
where they actually said what
Yeah,
they were,
we
that's
plugged
fine,
in, we plugged in all those definitions.
okay, thank you.
When that got,
Thank you.
got there. Yep.
Any other questions for Jerry on this?
No.
All right, would someone like to make the motion? There's a motion in your packet.
Oh, that motion.
Thank you, Alex. Would you like to read it? Yeah, there you go.
We need
Ordinance
one.
number-
Ordinance number 5.
Number 5?
I'm going to approve the ordinance. Number 5, series 2026, an ordinance of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Georgetown, Colorado. Amending section 17.20.090 of the Georgetown Municipal Code concerning personal wireless telecommunication service facilities to conform to Colorado House Bill 25-1056 and applicable federal law regarding shot clock deadlines, tolling, and deemed granted remedies for wireless facility applications.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good, thank you. That is approved on first reading. We have the added agenda item number 9 for the Board of Selectmen's consideration, which is regarding the CCRJ, the Clear Creek Housing Authority. So, Kasia, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you. As you know, I'm the alternate for CCRHA, which is the Clear Regional Housing Authority. We were supposed to have a meeting on Monday, but due to the lack of quorum, we did have to move that to Friday at 5:30, which is the worst time to have a meeting. So right around 7:30, we talked about joining CIRSA. As you know, it's a new organization, and so CCRHA does not currently have insurance, which is very important to have. Now that we have a new director, she's taking care of a lot of those administrative things. She reached out to CIRSA, which is the, I don't stand for it, Colorado Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency, the same insurance company that we have and that many municipalities have in the state, to see if CCRHA is eligible to be part of CIRSA. And they are, but they have to be endorsed basically by a member of CIRSA. So as we want to be covered as soon as possible, and this was the next meeting, CCRHA requested that the town of Georgetown be that endorsing body, and so you have this resolution in front of you. There's no budget impact, there's no responsibility, you're basically just saying, yes, we would like CCRHA to be covered by CIRSA.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Kasia on this?
If I can make a record on the need to put this on the agenda within the 24-hour notice period. This came up on Friday as Kasia mentioned, before holiday weekend. And today was the soonest we could bring it to you, and that was within, 24 hours of the time of this meeting. The case law, and what I informed you earlier, is that you can add things, but you do need to make a little record of why it couldn't wait. And Keisha has made that record. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Any questions? All right, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion? Mike?
I move to approve resolution number 9, series 2026. Consenting for participation of the CCRHA in CIRSA, aka CIRSA.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Alex, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. All right, so next up is gonna be police reports. I'll run through mine very quickly. The Ward 1 SIPs, I'm assuming that Amanda and Mike will probably comment on that. That went really well. We did attend the Lyle Fuller Award, and the town did win an award, which I forgot to bring to present, because the town did a great job during the terrible traffic accident and being an emergency responder. The Celtic weekend that the Georgetown Loop did great. We had people downtown for that. I've been planning and working on a new Bighorn Sheep Festival with Anna Lee and also some other organizations to make that happen in the second weekend of November. Attended the smudging ceremony at Hotel de Paris, which was really interesting and really historically perfect for that hotel. The gentleman who did the smudging, his great grandfather played music for Louis Dupuis at the hotel, which was crazy. S'mores with HEI was a big success. They had about 100 people, went through 70 s'mores. It was really good. And the Memorial Weekend was fabulous. The pancake breakfast was well attended. The borough race was just great. I think the new route was successful and everyone seemed to handle it really well, although the pooping did not happen where it was supposed to, like before and after the squares, but that was all good. And then the ceremony that was held on Memorial Day was very great. We enjoyed Keisha singing for the national anthem for that. So thank you all. All right, Board of Selectmen reports will be next. Mary, we'll start with you.
I just want to piggyback on it, specifically the Monday celebration, or not celebration.
Yeah.
Monday recognition of Memorial Day. The event was very smooth. Keisha, yes, your voice is beautiful.
Beautiful.
It was nice that town staff was participating in as much as they did. We did receive a lot of compliments on the street as to how well the event transpired. There were not the glitches that we've had in the past, and so, kudos to everyone who was involved in that. There were a lot of community members who stepped up ahead of time to, be able to help out and stuff like that, and so I think that just, lended to the success. The speaker was fabulous.
Yeah, fabulous.
The commander from.
Commander did that.
Came up.
Any of the borough trailers or anything, was that parked up on the Capital Price mine property?
I have no idea.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, it just came up at another meeting.
Oh, interesting.
They may have, that would have been a good spot to stage them.
We received a lot of voicemails.
Regarding that?
Yeah.
Mary, did you have anything else? Thank you. Okay, Rich.
The Fire Authority Board met, they're looking at reviewing their PTO policy and, they're doing a change which made sense to an exempt status for their assistant fire chief. Because, their PTO and comp time policy really aligns with the counties. And, the former assistant chief accumulated not only 700 hours of PTO, because that's the max, but probably another 700 plus hours of comp time.
Wow.
And, to me, that just, I think the county and the fire board are reviewing that to see if that makes sense. But the assistant fire chief is gonna go to an exempt status, which eliminates the deal for comp time. They also had a cell phone tower deal with Verizon. They were gonna erect a tower next to the station, but they negotiated and they're gonna be able to put a tower on top of the station there in Dumont and realize $24,000 in income from that. And then they did a couple of executive sessions. that was one. And Dennis actually also attended the Historic District Public Lands Commission meeting. And, got a really good comprehensive update on Excel. And the snail's pace that that's moving at. The Clear Creek Open Space Commission has 6 open seats. And they meet the second Wednesday in Idaho Springs. And they do have 1 mil and they spend money and donate that back to. So that may be something if you have someone that wants to get involved. That they've had these seats open for a while. And they meet the second Wednesday of each month in Idaho Springs. There was a train came down the tracks named Cindy Neely. And she resigned her position on the I-70 Mountain Corridor Commission. And then went on to recommend that I be the person to represent the Historic Trails Commission. And it's a boots on the ground position, but they only meet twice a year. And so we agreed to put me in that position.
Oh, that's great.
There was a lot of conversation about Silverdale safety, putting a fence up there. Who's gonna pay for materials? They think the Forest Service may be able to do that. There's and then found out I have a more specific map, Dennis, that there's a mill site that has been graffitied up. It's more than 10 years old. They said it's probably the same tagger, and that a concerned citizen came and said, look, we should probably do something about it since it is town property. And so I need to make an appointment with Dennis, but we're hoping to do something with Colorado Day. Maybe incorporate other volunteers. I do a hiking group club trek, so I can bring up, 12 to 14 teens that with supplied with gray paint. They can paint over that graffiti. We just gotta get appropriate waivers and get it on the schedule. That's like the day after our summer program, but we'll use it as a celebration where we're giving back to the community. See what else came up. Yeah, the trailers came up quite a bit. And there was quite a discussion, and the folks on the commission were really offended. Because there's landowners that say that it's just horrible up there. And we have several people that are up there all the time. And compared to 10 years ago, the trail conditions, the trash and all that stuff is a whole lot better. But we figure if we could do something as a town, since we do own a good portion of that property up there and incorporate it in with Colorado Day, to make an event out of it.
Are you talking specifically on that whole, the Rutherford from the base all the way up to where that is?
I would have to look at the pictures that I saw, a lot of it was on this mill site.
It's up at Silverdale.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I know the person, because I think they've spoken to me about it too. But we were having a broader conversation too about the Rutherford in general,
Yeah,
about trying to
but I
maybe.
think Mojo, his folks, I wanna involve them. I have names of 2 other folks to give a call. So we can get other volunteers besides the teams out there to
Yeah.
do this. And it might actually be an opportunity for some positive media attention. Cause the graffiti, I mean, I paint, on cleanup day, I painted over the Rocky sign that was across from your place on that transformer. But that's something that our kids can go up and do and feel good about.
Well, there's some glass up there and stuff too. That structure up there is pretty dangerous. I'm surprised nobody has gotten hurt up there.
Maybe we just don't know about it.
There's a meeting next week with one of the representatives at the high school for community service projects for our youth here.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps that could be a project.
That would be a great collaboration.
I know Anna's one of the people that she's meeting with, so maybe that can be shared and get that on their calendar, so maybe something kids might wanna do too.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, that's really good. Anything else?
That was enough.
I think that's good. All right, Alex, anything?
I don't have a report, but I would like to reiterate everything that Mary just spoke about for Memorial Day and congratulate Katie for singing the national anthem. It was, I mean, it's a difficult song. It really is. And I actually got to hear some of the words for once.
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mike.
Oh, yeah, so I went to the county resiliency meeting. My first one that I've ever attended, it was great, learned a lot. They covered quite a few things, but one of the most notable, came up 2 different times was farmers markets, which we've been discussing a little here, so. Seems like other towns have been jumping on it already. So I did get some context and some ideas of what they're doing, and how they're pursuing it. So when we do meet with the business promotion board, which has shown a lot of concern about this, I should have some information for that. And I hosted SIPs with the selectmen.
Board one.
Was not a pit of promise like I thought it was gonna be, so it was awesome, so.
No,
It was all really positive, yeah, it was great, we had some good questions, but everyone got positive demeanor and,
The cricket did a great job.
was that?
The cricket.
Oh, good, again, yeah, it goes very beautifully. Yeah, I had some follow-ups afterwards, the next day at the dog park, which I forwarded over to Dennis as admin. Some notes, from some that he's report they didn't get to. Yeah, that was, I mean, it was great. I was not here for no races or Georgetown days. Unfortunately, I was in Detroit.
Oh, it was, but it was a great word.
I heard a lot about it. I heard a lot of
Yes, hopefully it was positive.
it. It was all right.
Great, thanks. All right, Amanda.
Pancake breakfast was awesome. It was a super well attended event. This was the first year that I've done it, that there's been more than 3 people putting it together. There was actually like borderline too many of us, and it was fabulous.
Oh, that's cool.
And I loved it.
That's cool.
It was great. So the vibe was really good. Rob Solomon did a great job. Also our seniors graduated on the same day as pancake breakfast, which was Friday. So we had 4 Georgetown seniors walk, and that was
that's
super
right.
fun. So yeah, we went to graduation and that was exciting. The last day of school for the kids here in town, and the other kids who didn't graduate will be Thursday. So hopefully we can have, I know there's a lot of concern amongst local families, and we've kind of talked to the sheriff's about it, about safety for the summer with kids on their bikes, and the school's really been emphasizing making sure the kids don't cross where they're not supposed to cross, because they will become the feral children of Georgetown. So you will be seeing them all rolling around town, wreaking havoc, eating ice cream, doing all the things they're supposed to do. Other than that, I don't have anything else for my report today.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful, Amanda. Dwayne.
I was unable to attend, I was driving back in St. Louis, so the year was awesome enough to attend the last housing meeting. So I'm sure she'll give a report on that.
Very good. Thank you so much. We will go to the town attorney report. Jerry?
Thank you for allowing me to be gone last time, and I'm glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, staff reports. We will start with Bridget. You have provided us with a report. Is there anything you want to emphasize or speak about in particular?
I also provided a supplemental report for the permitting for summer events.
Which is good, right? Yeah, this is the list.
Really great report.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Other than that, go ahead, yeah.
Does the Slacker or 4th of July, are they applying for a liquor permit too? Because they typically do.
The Slacker has included a liquor permit in their materials. They just submitted them this morning, so I've just started to review. And the process there is I'll take a look at them and be sure everything's filled out accordingly. Then I'll pass them on to Dennis and Kasia. They'll take a look and provide any conditions of approval. And then I pass them on to emergency services, and they can also provide the conditions for approval.
Thank you. Very good, okay,
Thanks for
Annalee,
doing
oh,
this.
sorry.
I think, that, you know, this is helpful to us, obviously, and especially with summer coming up as ambassadors, you know, for the town, as everyone else is here too. Kind of helps.
Anna and I will
Focus it.
be touching base this week, not only about the Fourth of July, as I noted, but also to iron out the details of Colorado days.
Okay,
Great.
And I can provide updates.
so it's more than that, come in, please, add to these, yes, thanks.
Thank you. All right, Annalee, you are online. You have a report that you have provided. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Yes. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I did finally hear back from Code Red or OnSolve today, so I should have more of a solid response to them in the next coming days. I have some concerns over some of the security security response to the breach with them. So, like I said, I got those responses today, so I just want to make sure I'm thinking through my response to them, and making sure that we're moving forward in the way that is best and safest for our community, and also, you know, maintains that perception of safety and security through all of our programs as well. Other than that, upcoming events, Memorial Day was awesome. Georgia did a fantastic job hosting that ceremony for us. Rob Solomon is amazing as usual. And as we've mentioned, you know, Kasia did great. Our speaker was awesome. So it really was cool this weekend to see the community come together and support me, especially throughout my first big weekend of events. So I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, we have a lot coming up with Independence Day, Colorado Day, Bighorn Sheep Festival. S'mores, June 6th, we will be hosting the CPR certification s'mores. So we'll be working with EMS on getting that rolling, but it'll be a typical s'mores time where people can also learn how to do CPR. So that is coming up, and that's a newer addition more recently.
How is that gonna work with certification? Because that's typically more of a formalized class. How are they doing that?
We had a presentation from EMS at the mayors and commissioners meeting the last time we were there. And what they said is they just need 10 minutes. And people can walk up and they will sort of one-on-one teach them, or if there's a group that comes up at the same time, they have dummies. But they only need 10 minutes to do that class.
And I don't think
not
it's
certification.
right. It's not certification.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's becoming acquainted with knowing how to do it.
CPR aware.
Aware, yeah,
But,
CPR,
you
not
know,
a certification.
It was encouraging at mayors and commissioners because
Yeah.
there were a lot of inquiries after that, but how do we do a certification event? So that could be something we follow up on later in the summer.
Or they might be collecting that information as people are coming up to them.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Annalee, thank you very much. Town Treasurer Q, you're next. You have provided a report and your monthly sales tax summaries. Anything you would like to add?
Guys, we stand for Government Accounting Standards Board. There's some. Every year they do updates, as what you said about PTO. That is part of the update here of how it's used, or probability of use. Cassell does every week, 2 weeks, they do a free webinar. That focuses on one of their modules. They updated their account payable module recently. So learned all the new tips and tricks on that. I gave you at the beginning of the meeting as your sales tax revenue report for March 26th. It has an updated short-term rental tax revenue summary. The report that you got last meeting, except I put in the 2025 numbers for the first quarter. So you can see the dollar change and percent change. The bulk of what I handed you has the SCR tax compliance report that I've been working on. This is obviously for 2025 because I needed 12 months of data. The first few pages is a summary. Then following that is broken down data.
And I'm sorry, what does GASB stand for?
Government Accounting Standards Board.
Thank you, sorry. All right, any questions, comments? Thank you, Q, appreciate
I
that.
don't have any questions, but
Sorry?
I have a comment that
Yeah,
this sales tax comparison report. Just like to bring it to everybody's attention, first quarter, we're down 11%.
great.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The only businesses which were up either side of the town was food and beverage. And it wasn't able, and it was a substantial increase, and it wasn't able to compensate. If that were to continue, on the end up 11% down, our budget will be short by 180 grand. That's a lot.
Thank you, yeah, no, it is a lot.
Did we have any, Q, did we have any significant delinquency payments or non-payments, obviously, in sales tax that would contribute to that deficit?
There were a few that did not pay that normally pay. And there were about 2,300 from people catching up from back tax, back sales tax.
So to just skimming this real quick, I don't know what page it is. It's under number 2, chronic non-filers, and I may not even be looking at the entire category because I haven't read this whole thing. The accounts with sustained filing failures present significant compliance concern, and then you list a few and how many they've missed, and obviously if they're reporting monthly, they're significant.
Are you talking about lodging or sales?
Yeah,
Short-term rental.
what do we, what do we do with when they're missing like that? What's our action plan?
When they haven't paid their short-term rental.
Or if they, I don't know if they've haven't paid or if they perhaps haven't filed even with the zeros. And again, I may be pulling this out in not a very clean way because I haven't, I'm just skimming through it. So like, what do we do with the one that's missed 11 missed filings?
We have people who have been that did not file at all. It's 5 accounts that didn't file at all last year. They're being contacted or being out of compliance. The ones that had low filings, they. Like we have one short-term rental that had 11 non-files. So they'll be contacted that even if they have 0 rentals in a month, they still need to be filing on 0 rental. In the 1 month that they did file, they met their 2-week obligation for short-term rental.
They met it.
So they rented for 2 weeks out
They
of the
rented
year.
for
They have
2
to-
weeks
Yeah,
in 1 month. So they didn't have to.
So they met their annual,
Correct,
right, okay,
but they still need to file.
the zeros or something for the rest of the months, okay.
And we step in to help them understand what they should do. But eventually, if they're not living up to their commitments, then we can review their license and revoke it.
And revoke their license. So now that we're tracking this to this detail.
This is a huge help.
Oh, yeah,
This is
so, so
This
for
is
our
really
renewal
good.
period, come this
Correct.
late
Yeah.
fall, we'll be in a better position to,
Correct.
yeah.
okay.
And then the same thing applies to the sales tax too.
Oh, yeah.
If we find there's non-reporting going on or delinquencies, we can notify the state that we would like them to be audited, and then they go ahead and audit those taxpayers.
And that's a pretty big stick.
That is a big step.
It's 10%.
Yeah,
What about if they, like, so, and then the penalty is 10% for 60 days, and I think it goes up to, I think it goes increases of whatever you're found out of compliance on.
I guess regarding the STR thing, it looked like Bighorn folks are some of the worst offenders. But these were where there's STRs, where there's not supposed to be STRs? What's the deal there?
That's always a problem, and it's not just Bighorn, it's anywhere in the community where somebody is deciding to take it upon themselves to temporarily rent their house out for one of the, like Christmas market or something, without being able to legally do that, and we just have to have our eyes and ears open for those types of things, and we just sent, Bridget just sent a wave of letters out to the Bighorn condos out there because it was reported that there's.
She talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one you mentioned, 2150, I think is one of the townhomes that has the deed restriction. They have to file.
Hospitalities.
Used to have.
Hospitalities.
Yeah.
Even with the deed restriction, they can't operate as a short-term rental on VRBO or Airbnb, they have to do their rental through the.
Hospitality. Yeah.
Yeah, I occasionally hear from one or two of those folks. You know, we've taken the plat note off a couple at their request, but there's actually one couple that owns one of those units that wants to rent to the hotel and says, don't remove the plat. And that's fine, they have that right, but it needs to be, as Bridget says, through the hotel. And but you know, that class of units is pretty small now, really. So it's I'm glad.
It's like 5 units or something.
Yeah, I'm glad
really.
Bridget sent the message to all of the Bighorn owners generally, because they need to hear that and probably have to keep telling them.
Yeah, I have heard back from 3 of them who have the hospitality unit and clarified with them, yes, your hospitality,
Yep.
but this is how it works.
This is how it works, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's good.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right, very good. Thank you, Q. Assistant Town Administrator, Kasia, we have your report. Is there anything you'd like to add or comment on?
Yes, so referring to the code enforcement, Cameron did come up on Thursday of last week. And we set him on looking at some signage issues and that's the main thing that he's working on, but we wanted to take a slightly softer approach than his initial letters that he sent out, so we are revising that process a little bit, but you can expect to see more open cases, like significantly more the next time, but the 2-week thing sort of slows us down a little bit, so. Still working out that process. Unfortunately, we did not receive the DOLA grant, which was very sad. Todd Leopold, our DOLA rep, really emphasized that they really only awarded the grant this year to life safety projects, so like water treatment facilities and things like that. So we'll be following up with additional grants we might be able to apply for, but timeline wise, it might get a little sticky, so. That's where we're at with that. CCRHA. We received a DOLA grant from CCRHA, actually Centennial Opportunity Fund applied for that one, so. The Housing Authority is working with Kurt on another grant for with DOLA. And we did receive, CCRHA received a letter of acceptance, so they have that grant, and I need to follow up with CCRHA attorneys and clarify how that interacts with the land bank, because I'm a little confused about some of that, so I want you to know more about that. But what she mentions that, again, I need to follow up with probably Jerry and Belinda, is that DOLA's rules supersede ours for some reason, so. I don't know why that is, but I will let you know when I find out more. Memorial Day weekend was really great. Georgia, you did a great job. And we did a great job. It was the whole weekend, which was very wholesome. It was a great.
I would also add that we were up overall for the weekend, 16% revenue from previous year.
Oh,
Wow.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, everybody did really well, I think, that weekend.
That's so funny.
Our,
I think that's Georgetown's presence on social media.
like, it is, Emily's doing a really good job.
Alright, well, it's on social
Yeah.
media.
We
I
had
agree.
a phenomenal weekend.
Thank you, Kasia.
I ordered the picnic tables and the door both arrived, so The door is not a huge deal, I guess, but it's a big floor, so it took us a while to figure out where to get it from. And the MAC meeting was good. I requested that the emergency manager of the county Clarissa provide the town of Georgetown with some fire safety resources to provide to the public. Specifically like to-go bags and what should be included in them. They just did a fire exercise down in Idaho Springs.
Oh, wow.
I think. 103.
Yeah, 103, it was in Evergreen, yeah, the western part of Evergreen.
So I was like, can we do that? And I'll let you know what she says, but she is gonna send us some information about fire safety.
Great.
We mailed off the water quality reports on Wednesday last week, so that should be in people's mailboxes soon if it isn't already. And I ordered name tags. Yay.
Yay,
That's it.
good. Thank you, appreciate that. All right, Dennis, town administrator.
Okay, thank you. Couple of things. Just so you know, Mickey is going to be out on vacation for a couple weeks. We're very happy for Mickey and his family to be taking some time off. He's due this rest, but it also gives some of his road and bridge staff a chance to step up and take more ownership of what's going on there. Crack sealing equipment was ordered and has arrived, and everybody was really excited about that. You couldn't cut the excitement with a knife in our office. And so what that means is that they're going to be out filling cracks on the roadway, and their first priority is going to be starting in the area around the roundabout. Also, on the event parking area, now that the epic day of cleanup is over, you're going to see the guys out there dressing up the event parking to be more accepting for big events, and also delineating parking spaces and creating as much space as we can to use for parking. So that's going on. The big thing that's happening this week, of course, is the flower delivery on Thursday morning. So our plan is to have all the barrels out on 6th Street. We have identified a map and we know where they're gonna go.
You're gonna roll it out?
We're rolling out the barrels. And then, please, if anybody says something like that's the dumbest place for a barrel, or we don't like it there, why didn't we get one in front of our place? That is the way we're gonna do this. We're gonna place them and then we're gonna tweak and move them around. There are 43 barrels that are gonna be out, so we're gonna be flooding 6th Street with color. And then, everybody's a little worried about the bigger flower baskets pulling on the streetlights, but I want you to know that Bob and Kevin have been doing a lot of work. They have changed out almost all of the hooks with heavier duty hooks. They have added heavy duty straps. And if you look closely, you'll see these things. It's pretty impressive. And so then when the basket goes on the hook, it gets zip tied down so the wind can't blow it off.
Nice.
Like Dorothy and Oz. So that's coming up. Everybody's excited about it. Kasia sent a note to the Parks Commission saying, hey, we have this event coming up Thursday morning. If you want to help with our plant prep, 10 o'clock is the time. So I'm offering that to you too. If you want to help us out, it's going to be right down here. So the plants get developed, get delivered. We have to take them, we have to open them up, we have to put the water saving additive to the bottom and then put them back in, and then they're prepped and they get on the boat and they go out to the town.
With the boat? They get on the
Yes,
boat?
it's a
Wow.
big boat that gets dragged behind you.
I thought you were kidding, I thought it was.
We did talk about that at one point.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
I know, but then we never got them.
That's gonna be.
Float down. Okay. Plant prep, you can come and help out if you'd like. I know Mary had some questions on CIP projects, so I'm not gonna take any more time.
Okay, we can talk about that, I think, unless Mary, you wanna make some comments, I don't know who's gonna win today.
Just a quick question, on the roundabout safety project? Is that the big roundabout or the mini roundabout?
The little roundabout, that
Okay.
floods.
Okay, and
Mariachi roundabout?
the Mary.
The Mariachi roundabout is how it should be known, I think that's good.
And the hotel gas parking lot update.
Yes.
I know they
Kevin-
want everything, but what's gonna happen?
No, Kevin and I met out there, and here are the highlights of what we talked about. The corner down there is the biggest eyesore, so we wanna replace the sign. We also want to cut the corner, so it's not a corner like this, it's got a flat area, so it's open. People can walk around each other around groups that are waiting across the street. That's one improvement. We also definitely want to get some sidewalk installed there from the corner down to the driveway at the end of the parking lot. Right now, it's just dirt. And so we want to create a real sidewalk down there. And then the railroad ties that you see on both sides of the parking lot are tired, so they either have to be replaced or we have to find a different treatment there. That's where we're at today. I had input from Kevin. Kevin had input from Mary Clark and the Danes. And so they're very happy about us finally living up to our commitments to the lease agreement.
And so last time we met, you said we've got 20 projects and this is not 20, so where are we with the others? Can you just include them on your next list?
I've included only the ones that were doing something. The other 6 have not started yet. So yes, I can.
So maybe we can have more of a timeline. I mean, this is great to start. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then what work is continuing on the library project for Bob Hamilton? Because that's kind of on pause, I thought.
We're on pause with the engineer. We're not spending any money, but Bob is still doing things. He's tweaking different designs and what he's got to do with the plan. I think he's working on electrical right now.
Okay, and did you guys all get your cell phones and do we have numbers that we're gonna share with the public?
No, he's working with Verizon right now.
So when do we anticipate that, like? When do we anticipate that? It's almost June. Are we gonna get seen in June?
If Verizon gets back to me.
So we hard is it to get,
We got
Just like her?
approval at the last meeting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so 2 weeks ago, so it'll take a minute.
I mean, the average person walks in and walks out with the phone.
it's not that easy with
Well,
government.
I can appreciate that, but.
Especially
you
since
know,
we want the numbers all to
Well-
be one in an order. We have to go out and buy other people's numbers to fit the, no, I'm kidding.
Writing.
Yeah, spell cool thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis. So, it is 8:24.
I move to adjourn. That's
Thank
my
you. Do
job.
I hear a second? Mike?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?